Yeah. Like, I just started it. Oh my god, there's already 2 people here. Love that for me. I don't know if the chat is in here. Let me try and send the... Oh, shit. Let me get the Nearpod link. I forgot. Forgot to copy paste before I started this. Man, I'm so shaky. I think I've had too much caffeine today. Okay, good. The chat is there. I'm gonna wait, per usual. And my phone is dying, per usual. There's 7 people here. Welcome. How's everybody's day? How we feeling? How we doing? And you can join the Nearpod, you cannot join the Nearpod. Either way, you'll be able to see everything. But if you want to interact or anything, it's on there. Also, look at how many drinks I have right now. So I have my emotional support water bottle. And then I have a cherry Dr. Pepper, because I need caffeine at all times forever. And then this is my margarita, because we're learning about Prohibition today. So I had to get a margarita. Well, not a margarita. I had to get alcohol. So tonight's might be a little weirder than usual, but it just felt very fitting. So this is a Trader Joe's margarita. It is inside a Starbucks cup because I couldn't find a glass. This cup is also kind of gross, so that's concerning. But, you know, whatever. Living, laughing, loving. But yeah, the Nearpod link is in the chat. Feel free to join. If you don't want to join, you don't have to join, but it is fixed, so it'll let not unlimited people join, but pretty fucking damn close to it. There's a couple people on there. I don't know why I put that question on there. I think I meant to change that with something later. Is this even the right one? Ugh, I fucking gave you the wrong Nearpod, my dumb ass. I'm so sorry. I'm glad I discovered that, like, early on the jump and not later. This is the right one. Deepest apologies about that. Oh my god, there's 58 people here. I feel like every time here, let me send you the link. I feel like every time I, like, navigate away and stop looking at Twitch, like, I come back and there's a lot more people there. Hi. Oh my god, first. Hi. Love Nearpod. The kids are wrong. Nearpod is a joke. Some of the kids love it. Some of the kids would hate it. It was always just, like, really, really hit or miss. You have ads on your page now? I don't remember consenting to that. Oh, I just became, like, an affiliate, so now you can subscribe to me. Also, shout out to anybody who's subscribing to me. Thank you so much. I love that for us. So maybe I have ads because now, like, I can get monies, maybe? I don't know. I got an ad. Get that bad girl. There's ads. Oh my god, thank you for subscribing. Sydney. I'm illiterate. Sydney Morjon, thank you for subscribing with Prime. So I actually got, like, how do I talk? I was trying to get my own Prime account. I didn't realize how expensive that shit was because I wanted to get my own Prime account so I could, like, subscribe to myself on Prime, obviously. Like, but right now I'm pimping off my parents' Prime account. I'm just gonna keep doing that. It's not worth it. Thanks for subscribing. Anyway, yeah, so I started with, like, a would you rather question. You can join the Nearpod. You can not join the Nearpod. You'll be able to see everything either way. But I started with a poll question. I don't even remember what I put. I made this the other day. Oh, this is a good one. Would you rather be violently hungover while working an 8-hour brunch shift at a restaurant with bottomless mimosas and you have to pour them? You have to pour them. You have to pour the mimosas yourself, hungover. Or would you rather have your parents watch a live stream of a crazy night out from start to finish? I'm talking, like, from the moment you started getting ready till, like, you are, like, dead in your bed again. Your parents watching the entire thing. Also, today we're learning about Prohibition and how the U.S. government accidentally created the mafia by creating Prohibition. So I'm drinking a Trader Joe's margarita to celebrate that. Also, the chat isn't working. I hate that for me. Let me fucking fix it again. It always does this, and I really need to get, like, a real streaming software. But I think I'm just going to continue to be, like, janky and use the free one because why not? Why not? It always scares me when it goes to 0 viewers because every time I edit it, it's like no one's watching you. and it scares me. I love learning about how the government's fucked up so bad they created organized crime. Gab page, you're on a lot of my streams. I always see you, and you always have like the best commentary. Ugh, my bra is too tight, and I'm not living for it. Okay, let me see if anybody answered this question. There's 22 people on Nearpod, better than my class ever was. Let me send the Nearpod link again. Okay, if you want to join the Nearpod, there's the link. How's the margarita? It's good. I wish that I had gotten the strawberry one impulsively last minute. I was like, let me get the regular one. But I should have gotten the strawberry one because it's sweeter. I'm like a total sugar fiend. I love sugar. Absolutely obsessed with sugar. I want to see the results of this poll. A is by far the most popular. Work hungover. Ugh, I hate working hungover. I hate serving hungover. Serving hungover is literally like the 9th ring of fucking hell. I hate serving hungover. While I wait for more people to join and whatever the fuck, I'm gonna tell this story about this one time that I was serving hungover. I went out for my friend's birthday, and she lived like 45 minutes away from me. And I went out for her birthday, and everyone told me, they were like, you're not making it to work tomorrow. Like, I left work at 5, drove to her, went out, and was supposed to be back at work at like 10 a.m. the next day, and work a double that day. And everyone was like, there's no way that you're making it to work and working this double if that's where you're going out. Like, it's impossible. And I was like, fuck all y'all. Fuck all y'all. I am going to make it to work tomorrow. Like, I became so determined, and if they hadn't have said that, I would have called out, but I felt like I had to prove myself. So I go out. My friend, like, she got knocked out pretty early in the night. She had to go home. She was living a little too much of her best life and had to go home. So I stayed out till 4 in the morning and ended up, I was like at the strip club at like 4 in the morning, just like chilling, like I had no care in the world. And then I needed a place to sleep because my friend, it was her birthday and her man was staying at her house, so I couldn't stay at her house. So I texted my other friend and I was like, hey, can I come sleep on your couch for a couple hours? And then she was like, yeah, the key is under the mat. And so I just like I walked there. I think I walked like a pretty far distance to get there, and was like disgusting, and then found her key, broke into her house, and then slept like in my going out clothes. And then I woke up at like, that was at like 4 in the morning, I think. And then I woke up at like 8 a.m. and I was like, okay, I have to be at work in 2 hours and it's 45 minutes away. And then immediately I was like, I need a bathroom right away. And then I couldn't, like, her bathroom had like a baby gate in front of it because she had pets, and I couldn't figure out how to open it. And I was like too violently hungover to figure out how to open it, and my phone was dead. And so I tried to climb over it, and then I cut my leg open on the baby gate and started bleeding, and it was just like truly the worst vibes of all time. And then I had to walk back to my friend's house. That was like not far though. That was fine. I had to walk to my other friend's house because that's where my car was. By this point I was sober. Don't worry, I would never drive drunk, because some people wake up drunk and they don't realize they're drunk and then they'll still drive. I drove to my parents' house and they were like, you are a dead body. And I was like, I'm going to work. And then I put on my work clothes and I worked a 12-hour shift that day. That hungover. I threw up so many times. And I made it was at a restaurant, and I made the chef keep making me like little tiny grilled cheese sandwiches because it's like all I could stomach. I had like this big grilled cheese like 5 times in that shift, and I was just drinking Gatorade, and it was terrible. I was like about to die. I'm gonna send the Nearpod link again though, and then let's get into it. Let's talk about Prohibition, and we're gonna get into all of it. I'm really excited. There's a lot of memes in this one. I think this topic is fun. Let me like check in with my chat for a second. A few months ago, I went drinking with my coaching teacher's best friend and a few other teachers from school. Didn't eat all day, so I got tipsy and rolled up to a student basketball game. Oh my god, thanks for the scribe, Average Tay. AVG Tay. It was different. Not the student basketball game. Not the student basketball game. That's hilarious. Sometimes life really comes at you fast. I hate that when you're drunk somewhere and you're like, I should not be drunk right here. Like, I should not be drunk right here right now, but you just are. That's not fun. Like, one time when I was working at this luxury resort, I was supposed to have off for Easter. I requested off because my grandma was coming into town. And it was homecoming. You were drunk at the homecoming basketball game. I requested off because my grandma was in town. And I was supposed to have off for Easter. And then they called me. A hype train is close. What does that mean? This is like kind of overstimulating app. I see my kids are like a little wonky now. But anyway, I requested off for Easter, was supposed to have the day off. They call me. I was like out to Easter brunch with my family, and they were like, can you please come into work? So many people called out. And one thing at the end of the day, I'm about my money and I'm about my bag. Like, I'm going to take the shift. Like, I'm a workaholic on the highest of keys. I'm going to take the shift. And so I like answer the phone and I was like, I'll come in, but like I have been drinking and like nothing. Like I cannot drive a car right now. And they were like, that's fine. If you can get a ride, just get a ride. If you can't, let us know. We'll come pick you up. And so I made my mom drive me to work, and she was deeply concerned. She was like, I'm seriously dropping you off for a shift right now. And that was one of the best shifts of my life. Like, I was doing such a good job. Like, I was holding it down. It was so busy. When I came in, 4 people were crying because it was so busy and they were so short-staffed. And I came in and I was like, I'm going to fix all this shit. I'm going to fix all of it. And I did. I fixed everything. And because I was drunk, the guests were super into me. And I was like, how are we doing? How are we feeling? Happy Easter. He is risen. And all the guests were like, she's so fun. What a great employee. And my manager was like, oh my God, I cannot believe I have this intoxicated mess here running this restaurant. Okay, anyway, let me focus. Let's actually do Nearpod. So your word of the day, I used to always start my lessons with a word of the day. It's prohibit. The only reason I did it is because I want to make sure everyone knew what that means, because otherwise it's going to be kind of confusing. It means people can get emotes if enough people give money to you in a short period of time. Oh, that's kind of cool. Nice. I'm going to add an Apple 31415 subscribed too. This is warming my heart. Thank you. Okay, so prohibit means to formally forbid something by a law, rule, authority, whatever. This is the definition from Oxford Languages, because we always cite our sources in this house. So what the fuck are we doing here? We're going to learn about Prohibition and its impact on organized crime in America. I also love this picture because, like, I think people really idealize history and really idealize like people's motivations and the way they thought about things. But in reality, like, people don't change, and like people have been garbage and like forever, and like people have always had like the marketing ploys and fallen for the same things and all that. And I just think it's funny to observe. So that's why I like this picture. It's Prohibition, the near is at hand. Prepare for the worst. Stock up now. Today, tomorrow, soon there'll be nothing but the lake. Which is like, this is so American. I love this topic because it's just so fucking American. It's hilarious. So Prohibition was a nationwide ban on the production, importation, and transportation and sale of alcoholic beverages, and it lasted for about 13 years. So like always, I'm going to give you... I just want to say I love your content and love these lessons on TikTok. Thank you. Thank you. You must stock up on enough liquor to survive. No, literally, which is like fucking crazy. Like, you have a limited time to earn exclusive emotes. I literally don't know what this is. I literally have no idea what it is. Okay. This is godforsaken internet. This is giving early Panini vibes. No, it really is. It really is giving early pandemic vibes. I never thought about it that way. Let me go back. No, I don't. Okay, so history with me. This is my opinions. This is my thoughts. You can disagree. That's fine. Don't be an asshole. I'll remove you. I'm not gonna break. Okay, someone's getting fucking removed. Sorry, someone was being an asshole, so I blocked them. I hate men. I hate men. I love men, actually. I really do. Like, I'm such a simp for men. Oh my God, is that another one? It says, on my end, it says, there's a code read. On my end, it says message blocked from user. How do I remove this person? Give me 1 sec. I'll figure it out. Alright, it might not let me remove them. I don't know what to do about this. Interesting. You still see it. Give me 1 second. I'm going to figure this out. Hype train is 69. Momentito. Holy shit. Give me 1 second. I'm going to figure out how to deal with this. I hate men on the internet. I reported him. Thank you. I don't know if it'll let me remove this person because, like, there used to be a button there, but now that I'm affiliate, I don't know if it will. God. People are terrible. Not what I wanted. God, people are the worst. Sorry. I'm gonna Google it. If not, I might stop and restart it again. Here, for now, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna delete the chat because I don't like that, and I wanna put this on YouTube, so I'm gonna delete the chat while I figure this out. Just so that's not what we're seeing, because that's not a vibe. And let me switch it back just so you can like have something to entertain yourselves. Let me put up one of the collaborate board things. Actually, not what I wanted. Okay. Share, go. Okay. Let me figure this out. Collaborate board, memes, whatevs, all the things. Thank you to whoever just sent me that. I like how you're just all learning this together. Oh my God, why is this so long? Okay. Yeah, and still with the blocking, like y'all can still see them, so that's not a vibe either. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get a mod though. Oh, nice, thank you. Oh my God, Quarter Life Crisis subscribed. Thanks. Oh my God, shout out to whoever just told me about this band thing. Greatly appreciate you. Oh wait, they stopped. Okay, it's 5 now, whatever. I don't know if they stopped because of me or because of them, but I appreciate everyone sticking with me through that. That was not ideal. That was my first like bad one, but I've definitely had that happen. Like I've definitely gotten other messages that were like not a vibe. Like I've gotten many other messages that were not a vibe, but I've never had like the spamming of that. So yeah, appreciate that. Deadline for entering grades is tonight, and here I am instead of doing my grading. Oh my God. Okay, so let's get back into it. Sorry about that. If you ain't got haters, you ain't got... I don't even think that was hating. I think that was just like chaos. I think that was literally just like trolling. So whatevs. But instead of haters, it's internet pairs. I know. That's one thing. When I decided to do streaming, I told my boyfriend, I was like, I'm afraid of men on the internet. Like, I'm afraid of 12-year-old boys, like you said. Got page 12-year-old boys. I'm afraid of men and 12-year-old boys on the internet. And TikTok, like 93% of my followers on TikTok are women. It's a really nice space. I really enjoy it there. And I know Twitch is like, lots of people have had issues, but here we are. Live, laugh, love, whatever. Okay, so first thing we're going to go through is context of the 1920s and like how the vibes were in the 1920s, and then we'll get into like actual prohibition stuff and why it happened and why people were in favor of it. I'm kind of a fan of drinking on these. I need to like focus and actually drink it so my ice doesn't melt, but my face is going to get red. I turn really red, so I'm fine. Don't even worry. I'm just red. Okay. So the population was 106 million. It's a lot less than it is right now. If anyone knows what the U.S. population is right now, put it in the chat. I have literally no idea. The average lifespan was about 45 years. You have to keep in mind, this is like before we had a lot of medical advances and stuff like that. 330 mil. Thank you. God, y'all are so... I'm smoking watching. Good for you. Good for you. I love that for you. You have no idea how much I love that for you. Yeah, so the average lifespan was 45 years, but you got to think about the like medical care was a really, really, I'm one of the 7% of men that follow you on TikTok. Thank you, Richard Paz 23. Thank you. I love smoking and watching these. I love the energy we've created in the studio today. Okay, so the average lifespan was only 45. You have to think about like medical care was not good back then, and like things were bad and they didn't have enough food in a lot of areas and all that stuff. This is the part that gets me. The average time the students spent in school each year was 75 days, and now it's 180 days. That's one thing. We have kids working. What are we smoking? Who else is hiring? One of the 7% of my students was like, here, Remind texted me, OMG, are you in the Twitch stream? I'm gonna cry. You watch it with your students. Living to 45 is a huge vibe. These are always, oh my God, that sip was not good. These are always like the highlight of my week. I love the history ones. He told me I reminded him of you, and I was so flattered. That's a huge compliment, so thank you. Also, thank you to everybody that's been subscribing to me. I'm absolutely obsessed with that. So average lifespan, not good. Kids are barely in school. Good for them. School sucks. I hated being in school as a kid and as a teacher, to be honest. The 1920s was the time period of a lot of change. A lot of technological advancements when it comes to cars and home products like radios, telephones, kitchen appliances, things like that, literally rolling one up as we speak. I should have included stuff about weed in the Prohibition one. Maybe I'll do a second thing about like the history of like the government's relationship with marijuana and how it's been criminalized and all that stuff. I don't have a plan for next week, so maybe I'll do that next week. Do the war on drugs. Yeah. I was about to say I love the war on drugs. I mean from like a historical concept, not from like a I think it was good. It's like one of my favorite topics. That sounds interesting. Oh my God. Okay, I'll do it. I didn't know if you guys were like down with that, so I didn't want to like, because I didn't know, you know what I mean? The drugs won. Drugs won the war on drugs. So the 20s is also a time period that we're becoming a much more urban society. So 420s on a Wednesday, stop, you're lying. Oh my God, I'm totally doing it that day. Okay, I said I was going to do it next week, but like I'm sure we can all agree that that's more important. Like I'm sure we can all agree that doing it on that day is more important. So I'll figure something out for next week. Okay, so this is also a time period where farmers are moving into cities. We're becoming a more urban country and less of like a rural country. Also, thank you for the emote train. Thank you for the subscriptions. Women's styles are changing. Women are wearing shorter hair, shorter dresses, all these things. Men are shaving off their beards. Like the U.S. is just going through a lot of change. It's a really interesting time period. And this is important. 1920, the 19th Amendment was ratified, which prohibited any U.S. citizen from being denied the right to vote based on their sex. So now women have the right to vote. Women of color were still facing like horrible discrimination in voting. So like the U.S. in her puberty era. Yeah, kind of. No, literally. This is like when we went from being like a baby stupid country to like a country that was more of like a world player and like more involved in the global economy and stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. White women could vote. Women of color were still facing like poll taxes and literacy test and just blatant like race-based voting discrimination and all that stuff. So women got the right to vote technically, but it really only applied to white women during this time, at least until like the 1950s, 60s, depending on the area. Segregation still was practiced, and in 1921, we also saw a revival of the KKK. So the KKK, I want to do a lesson on this too. The KKK was created from slave patrol, and they were like really big after the Civil War, and then they kind of died down a little bit. And then around this time period, they really came back, and this time period is when they kind of expanded. So when they were created from slave patrol, and slave patrol is what turned into police. So both those groups of people have the same origin, but you didn't hear that from me. Slave patrol turned into policing, and the KKK went away. Yeah, ACAB, always. So what was I saying? Okay, so that was right after the Civil War. The KKK grew really big, and then they kind of like their membership kind of dropped for a little bit, and then around this time period they got big again. So when they were originally created, they were really only targeting African Americans, and then in the 20s they really like expanded and started targeting lots of different groups of people. Stone Mountain, Georgia. I grew up like 35 minutes from there. I'm very familiar with their activities there, unfortunately. So more context around the 1920s, specifically about Nativism. This is important to understand because Nativism is like the dislike of immigrants. It's often intertwined with racism, but they are different things. When racism is about like the person's race and what they look like, Nativism is more rooted in their national origin. Like I said, a lot of times that Venn diagram looks like a circle, but if you're looking at it as like a definition, that's kind of how they're different. I swear to God, my boyfriend only calls after you start streaming, like I'm trying to focus. Block him. Block him. Everyone block your boyfriend right now. Just kidding. Don't do that. Please don't block them. Unless they deserve it. Actually, block your boyfriend if they deserve it. That's the motto. Haha. Only if they deserve it. Let me put my computer on Do Not Disturb. I don't know what that text message was. Oh, yes, I do. Put them in a 30-minute not the 30-minute timeout. Okay, so nativism. At the beginning of this time period, the 19th century, which is like whatever, the U.S. is starting to see a lot of immigrants coming into the United States, like throughout many, many years leading up to this. So in reaction to this, people became more, not my boyfriend calling me right now too, people became more nativist as the country was growing, and lots of immigrants are coming in. Most of them were coming from Europe at this point, so they were like white skinned, like they look like me for the most part, a lot of them did, but they're still facing the nativism because they're immigrants from another country. That's why I wanted to make the differentiation between nativism and racism, because they kind of play out differently. Petition for Miss Redacted to drink on every stream. No one tell my doctor. This is not that good. It's not that good. So like the Irish hate, yes, exactly. The Irish hate, the Catholic hate, all that. So during this time period, we also saw there was the Bolshevist revolution in Russia. So like communism's becoming a thing there. So that made people distrust immigrants as well, because they were like, oh, they're coming from this communist country. We don't know them. They could be bringing communists to the U.S. Like all of that was kind of the vibe going into this area. So to preserve the ideal American I don't know how to say that word. We passed some immigration limits. So one was the Immigration Act of 1921, which put like numerical limits. And let me like read through this math and actually focus here. So the limits were based on a quota system that restricted annual immigration from any given country to 3% of the residents from that same country as counted on the 1910 census. So the National Origins Act of 1924 lowered it to 2% of the 1890 census, significantly reducing the share of eligible Southern and Eastern Europeans. So think like Southern and Eastern Europe, like it's like Greece, Italy. They also hated the Irish. That's not Southern and Eastern Europe, but all those Eastern European countries that like used to be a part of the USSR. So like that's kind of the part of the world we're talking about that. I thought we didn't have limits for European countries at this time. This is when they passed them, was right during this time. And thanks for the scribes and the hype train. Love that for us. Why is your boyfriend calling you? I am going to start drinking every stream. I need to start to focus. I think it's like helping me calm down a little bit. So we really like dropped the amount of immigrants we were allowing into the country, and labor unions and the KKK both supported the bill, because the KKK supported it because they were like, well, we don't want immigrants because we're the fucking worst. And then labor unions really supported it. Around this time, labor unions were like pretty hostile towards immigrants for the most part, because a lot of times the Southern and Eastern European immigrants would come and they would take factory jobs for less money. Just because they were like new to the country and wanted to get a job that they could like as fast as they can, you know? And so that's like not great for the unions. If there's people that are willing to work for less money, then it's harder for the unions to be successful. So that's kind of where that logic comes from. We stopped letting people in because we couldn't exploit them anymore. You're like mellow streaming drunk history. Yeah, this is like the diet version of drunk history. Also, Jesse Can, founder, 1 month subscriber. I don't know what that means, but thank you. Not the immigrants are stealing our jobs mindset. Yeah, that was very much the mindset. Very much the mindset. That kind of started around this time. That's why I think this time period is really important. I think the 1920s is like a really slept on era of history because it created a lot of American culture. Like a lot of what we think of as like American values and ideals were created during this time. This one has a lot of memes in it. So I'm going to need some meme love. Also, let me put the Nearpod link in the chat again, like while we are enjoying this meme of Kim Kardashian crying. Here's the Nearpod link. Maybe they were the first subscriber. Oh, maybe. Thank you. Here's the Nearpod link. If you're not on Nearpod and you want to join, I fixed the limit thing, so it'll let unlimited amount of people join now. But quality meme to start with. Thank you. Immigrants exist, or white America. I'm just having anxiety. This is considered a time period of lots of anxiety about how the country's changing, but like, if you just don't worry about other people, you won't have anxiety. How was your day? It was good. My day was kind of boring. Looking back, there was like a bunch of stuff that I was supposed to do that I didn't do. So I don't know why I was bored all day, because like I should have been doing that stuff. I don't really know why I didn't. But it was good. I liked it. I like my new job. My name's Jessica, just to help the... Oh, got it. I see. Sorry, Jessica. Peace and love. Okay. Let's keep going. Why aren't you loading? Okay, this one I already put on there while we were trying to get rid of the 12-year-old troll. That was really like cramping my style for a little bit there. But questions about the 1920s. That's just kind of a context of the time period, what America's going through. This is also when we have like mass production being invented and marketing becomes a thing. We're fresh off of World War I, just to give you some other context. But let me go through questions and all this. Tacos, Gatsby vibes. Yes, Gatsby vibes, absolutely. Why did Prohibition become a thing? I really want to go to a speakeasy. There's a speakeasy in Atlanta. I can't remember what it's called. Like the Red Phone Booth or something like that. I was supposed to teach and we watched Cars. Oh, there's a speakeasy in Atlanta. It's like obviously not a real speakeasy. It's like a bit for the bar, but it's a cool bar. I went there with my sister and her friends for her bachelorette thing or whatever. First thing that came to mind was flappy dresses. I know nothing about Prohibition. Was liquor so easy to make that there were so many bootleggers? We'll talk about that. Al Capone and his tax evasion, yes. Jazz singer, African-American flapper culture is not talked about enough. Yes, this is also the time period of the Harlem Renaissance. The Harlem Renaissance is like a time period of a lot of like culture in terms of like art and music and literature and poetry and all those things that really was like driven by the African American community in Harlem. There's still a bunch of speakeasies around. Yeah, there's like a lot of like cutesy things from this era. It was like a technologically a really cool era. Like the US and technology made a lot of strides forward, and culturally there was a lot of change in terms of art and music and fashion and norms about women and things like that. But it was also an extremely racist era. Like really, really bad. This is the first Twitch stream I ever watched, so hi from a TikTok follower. You're awesome. Thank you. Sorry I'm not doing it on TikTok anymore. It just got like too overwhelming to look at everything at one time. Like I really wanted to focus and like do a better job on these. And having like the TikTok chat and the Twitch chat was just like too much, and I can't share my screen on TikTok, so that's why we're here. Yeah. So that's context in the 1920s. I feel like we brushed over so much in school. I learned more from The Great Gatsby. I always show my kids, like when I would teach this, I would show them a clip of The Great Gatsby so they could see like the fashion and the music and stuff like that. There's a Prohibition museum in Miami or in Savannah, and it has a place to buy drinks. I combined all these words together. I live near Charleston, so there's a ton of old buildings that have old hideaways. Ooh, fun. Okay, a more personal theory of mine. This is just like something I thought of, couldn't really find any evidence around it. There was a pandemic in 1918. So people are like, why did Prohibition happen? Why did people agree to that? I think people just got weird. Like the 1920s, people got freaking weird. Like it was a weird time period when it comes to like people being okay with Prohibition and like the government and organized crime and stuff. So there was a pandemic. It was really bad. It's like really similar to COVID, except like way, way worse. Like way worse. I'm a TikTok follower as well. This is super interesting. Thank you. Appreciate. The pandemic of 1918 was way fucking worse than the corona pandemic, just because like it was 1918, so they didn't really have like medical care like we did. Watching how weird during COVID regarding political opinions and ideologies. So there was actually in 1918, you can see in this pic, the kids are wearing masks. There was an anti-masker movement. There was a full-on anti-masker movement. Like fully, there were anti-maskers, and it was like a thing. And people were like, you can't tell me to do that. Like America is just the same show going on again and again and again and again and again. Sorry, DeSantis. So the funny thing is, my first year teaching, I was teaching high school. I taught pre-K before that. I was supposed to teach the pandemic of 1918 in like January of 2020. And then I was like, we were really behind. So I was like, we just don't have time to go over that. I'm just going to skip it. And then COVID happened 2 years later. And I was like, damn, maybe I probably should have taught you about that. Just a thought. So now that we're talking about the pandemic of 1918, does anybody want me to do a thing on that? That could be another idea for next week, since we moved the weed and war on drugs to the 421, or to April 20th, 420. If next week we want to learn about the pandemic of 1918, I will just say it's like, it would be shorter. I'd probably only be on here for an hour just because it's like not as big of a topic. But yeah, feel free to go ahead and vote in this poll. If you are not in the Nearpod, I just put the link in the chat. You don't have to join. You can see everything from me sharing my screen. But if you want to like interact and participate, you can. Yeah, so if this like wins, I'll do that next week. Yes. First time chat. Thanks, Misty. This needs like something else in it. I wish I had like a little Sprite. I'm a lightweight. Like on the highest of keys, I'm a lightweight. I'm gonna let a couple more people vote in this. I feel like you are also seeing a rise in puritanical people. Yeah, this is also, we have like a fundamentalist movement during this time. People, the fundamentalist movement of people being like, we need to respect God. The U.S. is changing. Technology's from the devil. Women are wearing short skirts. I'm also a lightweight and drinking along with you. Perfect. I love that for us. To be fair, I only picked B because war on drugs for the 420 stream would be sick. Yeah, so we're definitely doing War on Drugs for the 420. This would be for Wednesday, like a week from today, whatever date that is. It'd be cool to highlight the parallels between 2020 and 1920. My account's a group project. I love that my account is a group project because you're right. Okay, most people are voting yes, so I'll do it. That's the thing with Nearpod, I can never tell if people are in and out or if they just didn't get a chance to vote yet. Okay, so now we're gonna get into like, why did people have a desire to ban alcohol? Like, where did that come from? Number one is the temperance movement. The temperance movement was literally a movement dedicated to like no drinking. Like you should drink in moderation, complete abstinence from any type of drinking. This was not new. It started in like 1800 and the first organization was in 1808, but it was really popping off during this time. And we'll kind of talk about why. I think it also has to do with that pandemic. Like I really think all these things are connected. So why did women want to ban alcohol? Because the temperance movement was primarily women. It was a female-dominated movement. By 1830, the average American 15 years and older was consuming nearly 7 gallons of alcohol, pure alcohol a year. That's about 3 times as much as we drink today. So just on average, people were drinking much heavier. It's also because like back then, if you drank a beer, you know that there's like not any bacteria that's gonna like fuck your shit up. Like you could drink water and then just like be all like shitting in the ground, suffering with a stomach ache because there was like nastiness in the water. But like beer and wine and things like that, they have alcohol in them. So it's like they're not going to mess your stomach up. So people would just be drinking. Like the founding fathers were literally drunk all the time. All the time. Our government was created by a bunch of like drunk 20-something white dudes. Our government was basically created by a fraternity at Florida State. And I went to Florida State, so I know how concerning that is. They probably didn't have much else to do. Being in that time period seems so fucking boring and like everything would take so long. God. I would hate to live in that time. Okay, so also women didn't really have any legal rights. Sucks for us. And were utterly dependent on their husbands for sustenance and support. So because women had no rights, George Washington was the original Pike. Because women had no rights, they were like, damn, this sucks that my husband's an alcoholic and like rocks my shit all the time and I have no rights and I can't get a job and just like leave him because I have no rights. Like that would be a tough situation, I'm not even gonna lie. So women were drawn to the temperance movement because of that, because they were expected to keep a happy home. And the husbands were supposed to pay for everything, and women were like, well, if we support the temperance movement and my husband stops being a drunk asshole, then maybe my life will get better, rock his shit back. You got to keep in mind, like, the government was not going to be on your side. He could commit you to one of those mental hospitals. Bro, men used to put their wives in mental hospitals for the weekend. They were just like, hey, I want to go fuck my mistress, so, like, you're going to the mental hospital for the weekend. Gonna make a TikTok about which founding fathers would be in which FSU. Oh my God. Okay, so temperance reformers blamed demon rum. They referred to it as demon rum. I be feeling the demons, I'm not even gonna lie. Sometimes when I drink, I'm like, this shit is from the devil. Like the next day, and even during. That's why I don't drink that much, but here I am doing it, enjoying myself. Okay, so alcohol abuse was rampant. Temperance advocates advocated that alcohol led to poverty and domestic violence. By 1831, there were 24 women's organizations that were dedicated to temperance, and it was appealing because they wanted to end a phenomenon that was directly affecting women and their quality of life. This is one of the first times in American history that like women are being super politically active. So they're a very passionate group of ladies here that wanted to ban alcohol. Carrie Nation, that's a pic of her right there. That is a hatchet that she has. you should do a stream about the history of mental institutions because they were around for so long. So, interesting fact about mental institutions. My mom is a consultant. Like now she does like sales, but she used to just do like other stuff. And so one time a mental hospital network thing, like rehab place, I don't really know. They hired her to like do consulting. And this was in like the early 2000s. They hired her to like help them. It was like something boring and HR-y, but she saw how like shadily run they were, and then she told me that because she saw how shady they were and because of like my family history, she was like, I never want my child to have to go to one of these places. So she saved money so that if like I needed that kind of support, that she would be able to afford someone to come to the house, because she was like, I never wanted to leave you at one of those places, because she saw like how shady they were when she was working for them for a brief time. So she was like, not gonna let me go there. So I think I still have like emergency mental funds. Like Henry Flagler, giant railroad that opened in Miami, put his second or third wife in an institution when he wanted to fuck around. I used to have to teach Henry Flagler because I taught in Florida, and that's like a part of the Florida history curriculum. I'm so mad I didn't know that when I was a teacher. Your mom is super smart though. She's if Kris Jenner and Hillary Clinton had a child, it would be her. It's terrifying. But let's get back to Carrie Nation. So she was 6 feet tall, and she burst into this Kansas bar in the morning in 1901 and was like, what the fuck is up? I'm going to fuck your shit up because alcohol is evil. I don't think that's a quote. Personally, I don't think she actually said that, but this is her actual quote. The bartender ran towards me with a yell, wrenched my hatchet out of my hand, and shot off his pistol toward the ceiling. He then ran out the back door, and I got another hatchet. My question is, where was the second hatchet? Did you bring two, or did you find it there? Like, I have a lot of questions about that. Nation went on, oh, my foot's asleep. Nation went on, homegirl running around with a hatchet. She said, I got one in my purse. I got one in my purse. You took my hatchet. I have another one in the purse. I think Carrie Nation was racist. I feel like that's true. I don't know for sure. She just looks angry. I think most women in this time period were angry, which is valid. Nation went on to wreck the place. She smashed the bar. Weren't they all? Yeah, that's like a pretty fair assumption to make. Like, unless someone during this time who is white is like, their whole thing is not being racist, they're usually racist. Like, unless they made it their whole thing, they're usually racist. At least, like, have documented a little bit of it, you know? Like, we'll never know what's said behind closed doors, but a lot of them, there's documentation. So she went on to wreck the place. Beer flooded the property and left her completely saturated. So you can see this was like the pressing issue of the day. Like, women wanted help with this. It was not the vibe. I want to look... Honestly, even if their whole thing is anti-racism, yeah, you're right. Honestly. Even if it's their whole thing, that's kind of also a red flag, in a way, if you think about it. Me in college entering my ex's fraternity, I think she was racist. I read about it in a graphic novel about feminism. I believe you. Just from that, I believe you. Okay, so this is like some pics and documents and shit like that from the Temperance Movement and from the women of that time. So what the bottle does, 1 year's work, and then you can see 2,500 smothered babies. I wasn't alive, but that feels like a reach to me, personally. 10,000 murderers, 100,000 insane, 5,000 suicides, and then it's being held up by indifferent church members and liquor dealers. So, like, whoever drew this, I think we need to check on them. Like, are they okay? Because, like, this feels a little too pointed and, like, too personal. Untold crime, misery, woe, want, weeping, wailing, war, shame, disgrace, disease, degradation, debauchery, destruction, death, a riot. That sounds like a good fucking weekend. Oh, my God. Extras... I don't know how to say your username. Extras Small Billy, OG Facebook meme. That is the perfect fucking description of this. This is literally like Facebook mom energy. This is Facebook mom energy. Okay, alliteration. Lips that touch liquor shall not touch ours. They said, legs are closed, bitch. Legs are closed until you stop drinking. A lot of these pictures are really blurry, but they are from like the early 1900s. So this is a large group of women and some men. I like that it differentiates, not women and men, but women and some men. Just some. Just a few. Very LDS of them. Yeah. average day. It's very LDS of them. Very LDS. They're gathered outside a grocery store and they're protesting the sale of alcoholic beverages. So what this shows me is that from the dawn of time in the United States, people have been fucking with customer service workers to further their political agenda. Because I guarantee the person that was at this grocery store at that point in time probably is not the one making that decisions. Back then, there was definitely more of a mom and pop vibe in the grocery store game, but I still have a feeling that person, they're just trying to make a living. Because even if it is a mom and pop grocery store, like that person's probably just trying to make a living and people want alcohol, so you're going to sell that as a grocery store. So the girls and the gays, these men limp wrist because same. I don't know. Maybe they were just like, we'll get to a lot of people were in favor of prohibition because they were like anti-immigrant. So maybe they were on that wavelength. So here's a drawing, just because, you know, pics were hard and expensive. The roots of what became prohibition started with the Temperance Movement, principally among women who protested against the abuse of alcohol and how it caused men to commit domestic violence. This shows women gathered in protest outside of a saloon. Oof. This is why service workers should be allowed to fight one customer per year. I firmly believe that. I firmly believe if you are in customer service, you should get to fight at least one customer per year, absolute minimum. This is something from The Bottle. The Bottle was a book published in London that influenced the temperance movement in America because its frank description from a man's descent from unemployment to violence against his family due to alcoholism. Look at everyone's face individually. Also, what's that? Are those their socks hanging? We need a customer service purge day for real. Fucking for real. Your husband gets drunk and you show up to fight the bartender. Your husband being an alcoholic and you fighting the bartender has the same energy as when women are like, she broke up my marriage when she seduced my husband. It's like, you picked the wrong person to be mad at. You picked the wrong person to be mad at. Okay, here's a close-up of the hatchet. Here's the hatchet. Cut out the whiskey. This is aggressive. I think we need to bring this energy back to politics. Start making things inconvenient for people, you know what I mean? Thanks everybody for following me. Jenna278, King Tutsi, Daniel Tofu, Lexi's World. Love the follows, love the subscribes. Thanks, live, laugh, loving. I want that hatchet. Make protests violent again. Not violent against a person. I'm never in favor of like violence directed towards like a human person unprovoked, but I'm very in favor of property destruction when deserved. You know what I mean? Like, I think just every once in a blue moon we should be going into like January real 6 was real inconvenient. Exactly. Depends on the human person. Also, fair point. Make his pockets hurt, direct action all the way. I think I'm really in favor of harassing politicians. Like, I think that's the number one, is to harass them in public. Like, if they walk into Starbucks, they should not know peace. They should not be able to go places and just have, like, normal, casual vibes. Like, start screaming at them in public. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? Actually, like, be careful. Read the room, you know? But that's what I'm in favor of. I'm a teacher. I just wanted to say I find your TikTok journey very empowering. I'm glad you're taking care of yourself. Thank you. They would love some Goodbye Earl. Can you imagine ruining Ted Cruz's life? Throw your drinks on them. Throw more shoes. Throwing shoes and drinks. Okay. This one was like a voting thing. Yell at Lindsey Graham at the gay clubs. Lindsey Graham goes to the gay clubs. Lindsey Graham is heckling Marco Rubio. Continue heckling Marco Rubio. Quarter Life Crisis 24. Thank you for being here, and thank you for heckling Marco Rubio. Oh, baby, he is. Since when is Lindsey Graham gay? People just weren't going to tell me about this? I would love to ruin Ted Cruz's life. I can... Someone send me a link. Send it to my email. Send it to me on Twitter. I thought I felt a bug crawling on me, but it was just a strand of my hair. This is such... Look up IG Ladybug. First time chat from Olivia Mushroom. Hi, Queen. And you're on Prime? The rumors that DC go away are usually the rumors in DC that don't go away are usually true. Yeah, someone dropped the link about this in the chat. Okay. So this is a poster, Wet or Dry, vote wet for my sake, and it's like a brewer, like, you know, oh my God, someone just sent the longest message. Let me read through this. Last week, the hashtag Lindsey Graham exploded on social media in response to allegations made on Twitter by a gay adult film star Sean Harding against Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. What followed has been a mixed bag of political. Lady G refers to his nickname among male sex workers. So many men are gay, and instead of just being gay, they choose to take it out on us. Like, what does that have to do with me? Like, just be gay. Why do you have to ruin the American public? Like, just be gay, Lindsey Graham. Just be a gay old man. Like, just be chilling and be gay. And just go to your house. You can just be gay at your house. If you don't want to be outside and gay, just go be gay at your house. It's, like, really not that serious. Ugh. I mean, like, I don't know, their family, their internalized homophobia, we're all on our journey to respect people, whatever. But, like, you're literally disrespecting the entire American country. So, like, what the fuck ever? What the fuck did I join into? We're talking about Prohibition. Well, right now we're talking about how Lindsey Graham is actually apparently gay. As a South Carolinian, he's a gay conservative nephew who still invites to dinner because he's racist. Interesting. That's one thing that I saw in Atlanta is, like, weirdness around that of, like, people being homophobic but their family and then, like, bonding over racism. Really, it's, like, it's a lot. I love being gay. Highly recommend. Okay, so this picture is showing basically this is, like, voter pushing, like, propaganda vibes. Vote dry for my sake of the women and the children and all that stuff. We love women and children, though. This is a pro women and children account. Don't the Chrisleys live in South Carolina? I thought they lived in Atlanta. I might be wrong about that. Here's the Nearpod link. If anyone wants to join the Nearpod, you can still join. Okay, so this I put as a big pick because I wanted to talk about it more in depth. So step 1, this is, like, created by the women of the Temperance Movement trying to spread their messaging. Step 1, a glass of wine with a friend. Step 2, a glass to keep the cold out. I guess because you get warm when you drink. I mean, like, look at me, I'm bright red right now. Step 3, a glass too much. Step 4, drunk. What does that say? Righteous? Frivolous? Something like that. Step 3, yeah, it checks out for Lindsay. The downfall right now in the crack. I'm cracking up. Can you tweet this, please? Yeah, somebody remind me. I'll forget. The crying woman at the bottom is giving iPhone. She also, like, 100% unironically, that's literally the Handmaid's Tale outfit. Like, that's literally the Handmaid's Tale outfit. FSU should post this graphic around campus. Bro, I only lived in Tallahassee for a year and a half, but, like, that place needs help. Tallahassee needs one big AA meeting because, like, that's not normal. Okay, so step 3, jolly company around whatever drunkard. Step 6, this is where it gets interesting. Poverty and disease. Step 7, forsaken by friends. So step 5, you have friends, but by step 7, because you're now poor and diseased, you don't anymore. Your friends left you. Step 8, desperation and crime. I like how we went from forsaken by friends straight to crime and then straight to death by suicide. So, do you have a pass? Yeah, Lindsay Rar, you're late to class. You're 53 minutes late. I would hate that when kids would come in, I shit you not, like an hour and 20 minutes late and be like, did I miss anything? I was like, we could have watched a whole movie. Like, it's fine that you're late. I literally don't care. Like, when kids are late, I don't care. Like, you can make up your work. I don't care. But when they'd be like, did I miss anything? That used to piss me off so bad. Because, like, obviously, you thought we were just sitting around waiting for you. Okay, I need to interrupt myself for a second. I briefly mentioned this earlier, but I really think we need to find a way to study how the quarantine of 1918, because, like, even though it was 1918, they were on their social distancing wavelength. Don't give me a detention, please. Fun fact, the school I taught at didn't have detention because we were too short-staffed and no one would agree to do it. Like, we couldn't get someone to do detention. So we just didn't have it. But anyway, even though 1918, they were still on their social distancing wavelength, they were still on their quarantine wavelength. So I think we need to study how that affected domestic violence and how it made women join the temperance movement. I think more women were in favor of the temperance movement because they'd been locked inside with their bitch-ass husbands. Because if I was stuck inside with, like, a ton of kids, no birth control, no rights, and an alcoholic husband that rocked my shit constantly, I would be like, yeah, ban this shit, ban it right now. So I feel like if the pandemic hadn't happened, then this probably wouldn't have happened. And that's what I mean. This is why I love history, because I like to notice patterns and connections and things. And, like, I really think someone needs to figure that out. Thank you. I did crack the code. Thank you, Toggable. I cracked the code. Thank you. Literally all of my family went sober after quarantine because of similar vibes. Same. A lot of people in my family went sober after quarantine. I mean, not me, but good for them. I was hoping this pandemic federally legalized weed. I thought that was going to happen too. I'm a little mad at Joe Biden for that one. I'm going to be honest, because like, didn't he say that he would do that? It's like how no one is straight anymore. Oh. Thank you for the follows from Hannah and Gay Harps. He did say that. Abuse is a motivator for sure. Exactly. Everyone says they'll do it. Our whole government is people just being like, yeah, I'll do that. And then they get elected and then they're like, I lied. I never said that. They're like, they literally gaslight us. They're like, I never fucking said that. You sound crazy right now. And we're just like, you did. Like, there's videos of it. The student, literally the OG gaslighters. Every person in the U.S. government is just gaslighting us. Nancy Pelosi used to be in favor of Medicare for all. I saw a video of her on Twitter from like, it was old. Ignore my dryer. It's probably again. The $2,000 to me, bro, when I got that $1,400, I was like, y'all put a check that sent $2,000 in marketing materials. I remember it. I saw it with my eyes. I saw it. Okay, I'm getting mad. The dryer is speaking facts. Hang on. Do you have something to add? Come here. Look at the skeleton. Let me get back over here. Biden would turn to dust if he hit a pen. Have we tried that? Just a thought. I love that you got to leave the note tab a strip. So I was going to take it down. I was so ambitious. A month ago, I was so ambitious. Truly a month ago, I was so ambitious because, oh my God, first time chat, XR Sizzle, OMG, I love you too. So I was so ambitious. When I quit teaching, I was like, I'm going to start making history videos like for classes for kids so that they can learn. And so I was going to change this because obviously that can't be in the background of a video that's like directed towards kids. But then I just decided I don't care about that anymore. Not that I don't care about it. I'd love to do it. I just don't have the time to do it. And this is way more enjoyable to me than that. So even though that would probably be like more lucrative, I'm having a fun time here. So I just left it up. And one day if I change my mind, I'll do that. You're doing so many projects. My boyfriend always says this. He's like, baby, you are doing 100,000 things at one time, at all times. You're doing so many projects. Like, so I'm supposed to be focused on this right now. Like I'm supposed to be like focusing on Twitch and whatever. That's like the plan. But I started reviewing the houses on TikTok and I was like, I'm going to make this a series. And he was like, don't you have like 5 series that you already gave up on? And I was like, yeah, but this one's going to be fun. And he was like, okay, great. Have a lovely time. It's going to be great. And I'm loving reviewing the houses. It's so fun. You could do a chatting stream and we'd be happy. I need to do that more often. I like doing that. ADHD for sure. I also have therapy on Thursday, but she just texted me and I think she might have to cancel. But honestly, that's kind of a vibe because I'm like really tired. I just don't feel like going. If Shonda Rhimes can have 3 series, why can't you? Exactly. Thank you, The Life of Bi. Thank you. I'm going to tell him you said that. It's called versatility. He's in finance, so he's very like, here are the things, the objectives and the numbers. And I'm just like, let me do everything at once and we'll see what works out. Having a teacher like this in school would have been helpful. What do you mean? This is school and I am your teacher. It's kind of disrespectful of you to say that. Another teacher and I are watching this from the Starbucks parking lot. We have no choice but to stand. Thank you. Okay. So number 1 was the Temperance Movement. That's where the desire to ban alcohol came from. Number 2, like everything in the U.S., is capitalism. Factory owners and the industrialists were very, very in favor of this. Like, think like your Carnegies, your Rockefellers, people that own like these giant factories are like bazillionaires. Okay, sorry, I keep getting distracted, but Donald Trump Jr. just posted a Will Smith meme and I want to throw up because how is that real? We're living in a joke. I wake up every day and like, this is a joke. I'm pretty sure I'm older than you, but you're still my teacher. I'm actually ageless. I've looked like this for my entire life and I will look like this long after all of you are dead and gone. I'll be like this forever is what I've decided. So let's focus on capitalism. The factory owners were in favor of this movement because they knew, like, we're rich assholes, we'll still be able to get liquor if we want it, but our workers are broke assholes. They aren't assholes, the working class we stand. Our workers are broke, so they won't be able to buy alcohol, and then they'll be sober at work, because people were coming into work drunk, like, all the time. And obviously being drunk at work, I know earlier I was talking about being drunk at work and how it was like a good day, but generally speaking, especially in like an industrial ass environment, it's like not that conducive to getting stuff done. So the industrialists, the factory owners were in favor because it's 5 o'clock somewhere, literally. Yeah, so the factory owners were in favor of it because it was going to make like less accidents, and then the workers could like work longer and work faster and be more efficient and all that stuff. So here's another meme. This is kind of an old meme, but I think it's a goodie. Okay, Meryl Streep. When you taught in school, did you say things like the working class we stand? So, like, vernacular verbiage, yes. But I wouldn't say that because that's like kind of a politically charged thing to say. It's like, oh, we stand the working class. I hate that like that would be considered politically charged because I personally don't think it is, but Ron DeSantis would think it is. So like I would talk the same way I talk to you guys on here. Obviously I didn't curse in front of the kids. Sometimes I did on accident. But I would like use like slang and like talk normal. But I wouldn't have said that exact phrase just because, like, I don't know how that would have come back to me. Sometimes if I was talking one-on-one with a kid, I would be more open, especially if they were being open with me, and I would just say, like, I'm saying this just as a person talking with you, not as your teacher. No, I keep burping from the alcohol, sorry. But yeah, factory owners are wanting to ban alcohol because they think it's going to solve all these problems. It kind of did, but not really. So the third reason that people wanted to ban alcohol was the hatred of immigrants. Ronnie has a lot of feelings about what we say in class. I would love to see Ron DeSantis teach my class for like one day. Just like one day, do my day there and deal with what I dealt with there. I would love to see that. If a politician ever does that though, don't take it seriously because it's probably just for optics and they probably like staged it all and like all the kids were acting perfect and like nothing actually got done and they were only there for like 5 minutes. So like if you see it on Twitter, like don't trust it. But I want to do it like for real with him. Okay. This is just an analysis from like my brain and of things I've like learned and read. There were and still are in a lot of ways stereotypes about immigrants drinking, especially Irish people and especially Italian people during this time period. A lot of the nativism was being directed at them. And so a lot of people associated immigrants with alcoholism and immoral behavior. So when the idea of banning alcohol came around, they supported it as a means to police and oppress immigrants. So a lot of white wealthy Americans knew they were still going to be able to access and enjoy alcohol, and it made them look like an upstanding person to be like, we want to ban alcohol to protect the women and children and protect the morals of America. When in reality, they were just kind of doing it for PR and to like keep themselves in charge, if that makes sense. Watching you at work right now. Good. Thank you, Princessa265, first time chat. Thanks for watching me at work. Why does America gotta hate everybody? We're just a mess. Okay. The morals of America. Yeah, and when they said the morals of America, they meant like white Protestant America. This is from history.com. The Klan's main targets during this time were immigrants from Southern and Eastern Europe, especially Catholic ones. Prohibition advocates had already linked them with drinking and criminality, and for these people, it was an era of times of raids and violence and terror. These people were already being really over-policed. Sounds like celebrities donating to sex trafficking, but also being involved in it. Ooh, I have not looked into that. Interesting. Okay, so from the beginning, Prohibition was tied up in anti-immigrant and anti-Catholic bias. Many of its advocates were white, Anglo-Saxon Protestants who only thought people like them could be considered real Americans. They believed the country was under siege by Catholic immigrants from countries like Italy, and that these people would threaten the U.S. with their foreign drinking habits. It was really a battle for cultural supremacy in a culture that was changing. So that's what I mean. It's important that we understand how like the kind of the concept of nativism and the hatred of immigrants was taking over because it's really interconnected with Prohibition. Gay Farbs, I don't know. How's non-training work going? Today was day 3, It was good. Yesterday was hard. Like Tuesdays are always crazy in my office because that's when we have the most people in the office. We have the most meetings. Like people just need the most stuff. So that like Tuesday was really overwhelming, but today was really good. It was pretty chill. I think I'm doing a good job. Like there's a lot of things I don't know that I'm having a hard time with, but everyone appears to be really happy with my work and like pretty, you know, like I feel like I'm learning a lot really fast. Like there's a lot I don't know, but I'm picking stuff up pretty quickly. So it's going really well. I really like it. And it's like, it's a pretty, compared to being in a school and a restaurant, which is what I'm used to, it's like a pretty slow paced environment for me, which is kind of nice. Okay, Protestants have always been the big boss. They just hate any other group getting a single inch of power. It's always Protestants versus Catholics. You should do a lesson on type of ethics, something you like to talk about, but I find it really interesting. Ooh, thank you. What the heck happened that Protestants were suddenly no longer the big bosses? I don't really know. I'm very uneducated. Are Catholics Christian? I'm really uneducated about religion, like, to be honest. Like, the specifics and the differentiation, I'm not really going to answer that because I have no idea. I think so. To me, they are. They're like a denomination of Christianity. That's what I thought. Yeah, right? But I just want to answer and be wrong. Okay. This is another good meme. We should ban alcohol because it will stop immigrants from hitting their wives and children. Don't you get drunk and hit your wife and children on a regular basis? You know, you don't understand. That's different. Because most of these guys that were like, we should ban alcohol, but then they were still drinking alcohol, they were also like rocking the shit of everyone in their household. So it was just like really bad vibes. Catholics are Christian, but if you ask Protestants, they're the wrong type of Christian. Christianity on crack is the perfect explanation. All religions that believe in Jesus are Christian. It's a sect of Christianity. 1 month subscriber, Cindy Moorjohn, thank you. Dun, 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 dun. I'm loving the chat that we're having about Catholicism, but if someone could acknowledge this game, that would be great. Thanks. We're here to give me attention. That's what I always say when I was teaching. I would always be like, I'm the star of the show. I'm the main character. Pay attention to me. And they were like, but I thought it was funny. Very 2016 of them to do. The update for your Google Chrome is killing me. I know, I'm sorry. I don't use this computer that often. So I have a work computer. This is my personal computer, so I like don't use it every day. And when I was like getting ready to stream, I was already running late, so I just didn't update it. This meme, you know, because everything's fine when you're white. T, literal T of the United States government. Thanks for the meme praise. I'm such a fucking narcissist. Did you make the meme? I mean, I put the words on there, but I didn't make that graphic. No, I found it on the internet. Okay, questions, comments, jokes, memes. What has surprised you so far? Let me send the Nearpod in the chat again for anybody that wants to join that or whatever. What was the name of the woman who wanted to ban alcohol and had an axe? Carrie Nation. There's the Nearpod. If anyone's like not in there and wants to be in there, you're more than welcome to. But questions, comments, jokes, let me catch up with the chat a little bit, and let me actually check out on TikTok. Any religion that believes in Jesus, any religion that believes Jesus is God, Christian, Muslim, Judaism, and many historians acknowledge he was a person that don't believe. Interesting. Religion is just something that kind of confuses me a lot. Was this when Alcoholics Anonymous was founded? I don't think this is when it was founded, but I know this is when the group that turned into Alcohol Anonymous was founded. I don't remember the details of that, but when I was researching this, I came across it. So it is like relevant, like it's connected, but I don't think it was like the same name, but it was like the same kind of thought process in people. I forgot about the part of hating immigrants, tracks for American history. Every problem in the world boils down to racism and capitalism. Fun, we've only had 2 Catholic presidents, the second being Joe Biden. Interesting. I did not know that. We should talk about the fact that W.E.B. Du Bois' daughter married a gay man in 1928, and he brought his boyfriend on the honeymoon. What? We've never had a Jewish president? A lot of people ask me if I'm Jewish, which I find interesting. That would totally make sense about saying AA has a religious basis. Yeah, exactly. But I'm not, sorry, we need to go back to this gay man bringing the boyfriend on the honeymoon. I know in 1928, like, marriage is always tied to wealth and property and government and all that, but it was more so back then. So maybe that's why, but, like, we've never had an openly atheist president either. I'm going to be honest, I think we have a while for that one. I saw a statistic when I was in college about how religious people vote more often than non-religious people, but also I feel like everything I learned about voting demographics in college is like null and void now, because that was like before 2016 all that data was from. So now I just feel like it's really different. Do you still identify with the UU Church? No, I don't identify with anything. I'm just here, and my beliefs change on a day-to-day basis, to be honest. I have no belief system is my final answer to that question. I believe that I don't even think this is religious, but I am a firm believer and like a witness to experience, whatever, that like you really have so much more power than you realize, and like your thoughts and the way you view yourself and the way that you treat other people really impacts a lot more than I think most people think it does. And I think religion is something that's more like inside yourself, and spirituality is something that's more inside yourself and personal than something that you go somewhere for. It's just kind of the way that I feel about it, but yeah. Oh my god, this Zillow series is doing pretty well. All the other ones have kind of done crappy. The For You page has kind of been like neglecting me lately. Right, someone said, Bestie, I'd love to know your dating rules, like your red flags, your expectations, etc. I'm like not the person to ask and advice. The relationship I'm in now is like the only relationship I've ever been in that is like moderately like non-abusive. I'm gonna pretend I didn't say that. If you're my mom and you're watching this, please don't bring that up with me later. Okay, let me actually read what you guys have put in here. The fact that women support it because they were getting beat by their husbands. Never learned that in school. I'm stoked for your Zillow series because I liked the one that was longer. Oh, you liked the one that was longer? I didn't know if people were going to be into that, but I had to talk about all those pictures. I was like, I cannot just not address this weird, like, ping pong table concrete hallway. Okay, I was never told that wealthy white people were actually not affected, which is why they didn't care. Yeah. Makes so much more sense because it was being tied to racism and domestic violence. Yeah, accessibility in regards to like race and all that. I was taught that wealthy people had access to alcohol. You work in real estate now, right? Yeah, kind of. I work for a real estate company and I do like office support and like technology stuff. So I'm not actually dealing with any clients or buyers or anything like that. I'm like a office person for the actual agents. I don't deal with any of that stuff. I cannot find the link that talks about Count Cullen. Yeah, find that and send that to me. Ooh. Okay, let's keep talking about Prohibition. Let me focus. Okay, so nationwide Prohibition begins in 1917. The U.S. enters World War I, and Woodrow Wilson issued a temporary wartime order to save grain. So it was like just temporary. It was like, just for a little bit, you guys, we're only going to ban alcohol for a little bit. And then that same year, Congress pushed the 18th Amendment, which banned the manufacture, transportation, and sale of intoxicating liquors, and they put it for state ratification. Congress had stipulated a 7-year time limit for the process, but it got passed in just 11 months. So you can see that like this was something that a lot of people were pushing for. What you also have to keep in mind, we'll talk about this more later, is like women didn't have the right to vote yet, but it was like rumored, like it was like they were on their way. So a lot of the politicians were like, if I say yes to this and I'm openly supporting this, when women get the right to vote, they'll vote for me because then their husbands will have stopped beating them. And I can be like, hey, remember when I passed Prohibition and now you're safer? So it was like also a ploy to get women voters, white women voters specifically, because women of color couldn't vote then. Not me getting distracted and opening your TikTok immediately and seeing your video all focused now. Yeah, let me stop trying to do too many things at one time. Okay, so this got ratified in 1919. The 18th Amendment went into effect later that year. And then in October, Congress put forth what's called the Volstead Act usually, and that was a little more clear about the enforcement and created a special unit to enforce it. It was rumored. I mean like rumored, not like a rumor, but it was like, it had been getting fought for and it was like close to getting done and people knew that. You know what I mean? Like it was like people knew it was going to happen relatively soon. So the 18th Amendment was Prohibition. The Volstead Act was like kind of more clarity around it and had the enforcement of it. The way I would always teach my kids to remember this is that the 18th Amendment is no drinking, and when you're 18, you can't drink. The 21st Amendment repealed prohibition, and when you're 21, you can drink, is like the best way to remember that. Just if any of you ever have to teach this, that's the best way. They always should remember. So the other thing you have to keep in mind is many states were dry before nationwide prohibition. My boyfriend's about to get home and I'm getting off. Bye, everyone. Bye, Average Tay. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Love you. Peace and love. Have a good night. Tell your boyfriend I said hi. Not in like a weird way, but in just like a community way. Sorry, that came out kind of odd. So in 1838, Massachusetts was like the first state. Oh, my little glitter things are coming off my Starbucks cup. Massachusetts had a prohibition law. As you can see, it wasn't complete prohibition, but a couple other states started passing laws for prohibition. So when we had nationwide prohibition, some states were already doing that, which is why I think it passed so quickly. Thanks for the gift choice. Thank you. I work hard on these. I really be thinking. So this is like, I know it's like super, super tiny on your screen. Can I zoom in? I don't know if it'll let me. No, it doesn't let me on Nearpod. Fuckers. This is a list and it shows the states and when they became dry. So actual prohibition started, what was it, like 1919? Yeah, 1919. These go anywhere from 1851 to 1915. So like all of these states already had laws about this. So it wasn't just 100% out of the blue, which I think is a really common misconception. Load. So how do you think people reacted to prohibition passing? You can also do GIFs. Sometimes it blocks the like fun ones because it's meant to use like at a school with kids or whatever the fuck. So sometimes it blocks like profane things. But we repealed in 1966. What state did you say that was? Like Mississippi? Oh wait, the county where Kentucky bourbon is made is a dry county. I'm guessing people were pretty peeved, started a riot. They probably hoarded all the alcohol that they could. Repealed. Mississippi, yeah. God. We're going to look at pictures of like people freaking the fuck out over prohibition, and it's really funny. Speakeasies, the men were affected. Another, well, I got to do it myself moment. Were they paying attention and didn't think it was going to happen? I think that was probably true. I don't really know. Oh my God, the gift from Abbott Elementary. I don't know. I bet a lot of people were like, that's never going to happen. And then it did. And they were like, oh shit, that happens. Like a lot of people who don't really keep up with current events. Kentucky still has a lot of dry counties. They do roadside checks. DIY alcohol bathtub time. Literally. Relieved or angry depending on how much they were drinking. Americans bid drinking due to limited access to alcohol. American Centers are on. Quarter life crisis, you're literally crushing it. Like quarter life crisis is carrying this team. I'm gonna just be honest, the rest of the class is not giving the way quarter life crisis is giving. They're the #1 student right now. Made moonshine, all the things. Okay, so let's look at stuff. Let's get into it. So here's some pictures from like prohibition, the earlier years, people being upset. I'm a solid C student. My parasocial relationship going crazy. I need to drink more. I hardly drank in any of this. I'm not even drunk. This is just my personality. I don't like it. It's not good. I'm just gonna do like a 2 at a time situation. We're the cleaner water. We can't drink alcohol now. Okay. No camel. I want beer. Meaning like, I don't want water. Repeal the 18th. It says commandment. Meaning like, keep religion out of our business. U.S. is voted dry. Number 3. I like these. Repeal the 18th Amendment. This one on the right is my favorite. No beer, no work. I want to buy this and wear it to work. I think I really bring like a no working energy to the studio, you know? Here's people like dumping the liquor. This guy on the right in this suit. Also, just imagine being in a whole 3-piece suit in this heat. Just outside in general. That seems terrible. I'm so glad that they're... OMG, I'm late, but I submitted the Rome, Georgia one. Oh my God, thank you. How do I say your name? Katara? Katara? I don't know how to say your name, but 1796, that Rome, Georgia house sent me for such a loop. Like, what was happening there? Thank you for sending that to me. I'm so happy I never had to smell these people. I would be in the sewer chugging as they dump it. I would be down there with a bucket, like, hey, just here, minding my business. What about religious ceremonies? We're going to talk about that. A lot of people found God. Here's another protest. Give us beer, balance the budget. We'll talk about the budget. Here's another one, pouring the liquor out. These men look happy, which question mark, but maybe they were in favor of it. Who knows? So did it work? Here's another picture. We want beer. The amendment did work at first. Someone said, I feel like more people joined church because Catholics drank wine for communion. It was still allowed. No source, probably not true. It is true, and it's in here with a source. So we're going to talk about that. I think I would find God. Okay, so the amendment did work at first. Liquor consumption dropped, arrest for drunkenness fell, and the price of illegal alcohol rose higher than the average worker could afford. That's the important part to note, is like the rich dudes, the owners, people in the government, they're still drinking. They're just buying it in an expensive way. The United States Brewer Association admitted that consumption of hard liquor went down 50%. This is a different study. Angela Dills and Jeffrey Myron found liver cirrhosis deaths declined 10 to 20% during Prohibition, suggesting the policy reduced alcohol consumption and, as a result, alcohol-related disease. So it was effective at first in getting people to stop drinking, but not in the long term. So here's another meme. This one's kind of off-center, which is bothering me a little bit. It's like rich people were still getting Cuban cigars while the embargo was a thing. Yes, that is also true. Rich people were getting Cuban cigars. Let me drink my margarita, drink some water. You guys can enjoy this meme. I don't remember who this is. I think she's one of the housewives. Are you a housewife stan? I love housewives of Salt Lake City. I love Potomac. I love Atlanta. I've also dabbled in the New York one. Are the ones that I watch. I'm not a committed Housewives stan, but I do enjoy it. Atlanta's the best one. I completely agree. And the OG seasons of Atlanta, like the Kim Zolciak and Nene Leakes beef is like, they raised me. I grew up in Atlanta watching that show. They raised me. You have to watch The Housewife and The Hustler. The husband is insane. Unrelated, Selling Sunset. Everyone's telling me to watch it. I've been so busy lately because this is the problem. Is that my man doesn't like reality TV. So when I'm over there, we don't watch that. We watch other stuff. And then when I'm at home, I'm usually streaming or on TikTok, so I just haven't been keeping up with my shows. So I need to watch Selling Sunset. I have a cousin from Potomac, and they live different lives, so different from everybody else. Interesting. All right, let's get more back into this. So let's talk about the wives trying to sell Prohibition. So let's talk more about the effects of Prohibition and how it was a total fucking flop. So the law went into effect. They expected the sales of clothing, household goods to skyrocket. Real estate developers and landlords expected rents to rise as neighborhoods improved. All these companies thought that they were going to grow, and theaters expected new crowds as Americans looked for a way to entertain themselves without alcohol, and none of it happened. Shocking. People didn't want to go to the movies 100% sober. Doesn't like reality TV, dump him. I'm working on it. I think he just... The thing is, reality TV, you can't watch it from a lens of like, I want to be hooked into this story. You have to watch it as like an observer and a judger. And I think that's the disconnect. I think that's we're working on it. Sometimes I'll watch it, sometimes. Watch Survivor. I don't like the competition ones. I'm so picky. And like the reality TV that I watch is so bad. Like it's like Sister Wives, 90 Day Fiance, Unexpected. Like it's really not good television. I also like to like live tweet and like keep up with those. Okay, so let's focus. They all expected businesses to grow. It fucking didn't. Instead, the unintended consequences proved to be a decline in amusement and entertainment industries across the board. Restaurants failed as they could no longer make a profit without liquor sales. Like no one thought this through. I cannot reiterate how much no one thought this through or thought even like a year in advance. Theater revenues declined and like everything was getting terrible. I can see why they think they'd sell more soda, but it's hilarious that it didn't happen. Yeah. I think it's because like without alcohol, people just weren't going out as much. So people are like, I'm just going to drink at my house. Like beforehand, I would go out to dinner, buy some drinks, drink at a bar, go to the movies, drink at another bar. But now I'm just going to drink at my house and listen to the radio. You know what I mean? Like people chose drinking over the going out. On the whole, the economic effects of Prohibition was largely empty, brain empty, no thoughts. I have a sticker on my laptop that says no thoughts, head empty, and I would like bring this computer to meetings. Like I have literally sat in a meeting with like district officials with this computer And they were like, what's that sticker? And I was like, oh, it says no thoughts, head empty. And they were just like, okay. And then I wonder why I always scored low on professionalism. I didn't even score that low. I'm just a perfectionist. I got like 2 points off. It wasn't even that serious. Okay, so let's focus. One of the most biggest effects of Prohibition was on tax revenues. No one thinks ahead. In New York, almost 75% of the state's revenue was derived from liquor taxes. How did they let this pass? 75%? That's so much of your money, and then you're just like, let's ban it. What? Like, that's not, what do you think was going to happen? Like, what was the plan? Like, when they were like, hey, let's ban alcohol, was no one like, hey, that's like all our money? Like, what was the plan here? So Prohibition cost the government a total of $11 billion in lost tax revenue and over $300 million to enforce it. The most lasting consequence is that the government would come to rely on income tax. So when you are mad about your income tax, blame these fuckers. The government came to rely on income tax and revenue in order to fund their budgets going forward. They couldn't see past their bigotry to think of money. That's how you know that the nativism and the racism was strong, is that they were like willing to forget about money for a couple seconds. Another good meme, my dryer, just really being that girl. I'm gonna go turn it off while you enjoy this meme, and I'm gonna put some lemon juice in this. Give me like 2 seconds. I'm gonna roll away. I'll be right back. Mike is my co-teacher. He'll be watching you. My back hurts. I'm like an old person. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. The dryer is iconic. Sorry, I just choked on this margarita. Mike is not okay. What the fuck? He's just behind you. Sorry. Okay. These are my views on income tax. Not to be like too much of a Ron Swanson, but I think that income tax is literal theft. Like, I think, Mr. Mike, can I go to the bathroom? No. Sit down. We're learning. We're learning about my views about taxes right now. It's very important. You can't miss it. I think that income tax is literally theft, and that it shouldn't be allowed, and that the only people that should pay taxes are people that make more than $200,000 a year. And I think we should tax corporations whenever they do something bad. Like, if they pollute, you have to pay a shit ton of taxes. If you treat your workers shitty, you have to pay a shit ton in taxes. Like, that's just how I think it should work. So, like, I hate being like, I'm anti-income tax, because then people are like, what? Like, the libertarian is just popping out. But I'm really not thinking about it that way. I'm just thinking about like what makes the most logical sense to me. Yeah, I think taxation is theft. Like, maybe if our tax money went to important things rather than the military, it'd be different, you know? Exactly. I hate paying taxes so much for that reason, because I know I'm funding things that like I disagree with and are like making the world a worse place. So like, you're literally stealing my money. Yeah, I could talk a lot about taxes. I'm like actually an old white dude, if you didn't know. What else was I going to say about taxes? People under 18 should not have to pay taxes. Right? God, it's crazy. Okay, so the enforcement of Prohibition. This is where shit starts to get crazy. I'm just going to stop paying mine. I need to file my taxes. I need to deal with that. So both the federal and local government struggled to enforce Prohibition. It was initially assigned to the IRS. I fucking hate the IRS. The IRS has audited my family so many times. And like, I get it, you're trying to prevent fraud, but like, leave us alone and go after like the Koch brothers. And it was later transferred to the Justice Department and the Bureau of Prohibition. From its inception, this unit was plagued of issues of corruption, lack of training, and underfunding. Basically, the problem is all the agents were just accepting bribes constantly. So in general, Prohibition was enforced much more strongly in areas where the population was sympathetic to the legislation. So in rural areas and small town, much more loosely than in urban areas. Despite very early signs of success, like I said, including a decline in arrests for drunkenness, people who wanted to keep drinking just found more inventive ways to keep doing it. So this is what we were talking about. Kosher wine for sacramental purposes. This is my favorite sign. This is one of my favorite pictures from history, because I think it's so fucking funny. Because, like, That's not for sacramental purposes. You know what you did. Like the fact that they over-labeled it like that. So there were a number of loopholes to be able to get alcohol. Most popular one is that pharmacists could prescribe whiskey for medicinal purposes. So many pharmacies became fronts for bootlegging operations. And then industry was allowed to use alcohol for production purposes. So employees would just like take it home. This would make such a good bumper sticker, it really would. Religious congregations were allowed to purchase alcohol, like someone mentioned earlier, leading to an uptick in church enrollment. And this is from Britannica, so like cited source, it's definitely true. And many people learned to make alcohol in their own homes. So BRB going to get to Walgreens to get some kosher wine. Exactly. It's like, I'm just here with my kosher alcohol for sacramental purposes. Absolutely nothing weird going on. Getting absolutely sloshed at communion. I'm making that line a circle. I'm doing laps, to be honest. I'm just going and getting back into line. Me making prison wine in college. Interesting. I wish I could go back in time and Venmo you or just like give you some actual wine. What happened to companies that were producing liquor? They just had to lock their doors, I guess. They were just like, sorry, kid. That's tough. That is tough. Another great meme. I posted this one on Twitter earlier. Oh, this is a lot better with the lemon juice in it. Kind of like cut the alcohol taste a little bit. I didn't like it before. Try and drink it fast. Just get it over with. You bought this meme from me? Thank you. Hold the body, I'll have more of the blood of Christ. I'm good. I don't want the cracker. I don't want the Jesus cracker. I just want the blood of Christ. Thanks. I'm doing a cleanse right now, so I can't have the Jesus cracker. I just can have the blood of Christ. Nothing else. Okay, so how do you think people got around the rules during Prohibit? Okay, just cut off, that's fine. How do you think people got around the rules? What'd they do? We looked at a little bit of stuff and want to see more of your ideas. How do you think people got around the rules? We saw the sacramental wine. How do you think people snuck alcohol in? Where do you think they hid it? I'm gonna make bathtub gin. Made their own shit. Yeah. What's that TikTok audio where it's like, fine, I'll do it myself. Alk and bathtubs. And I know people have been kind of like in and out the vampire cleanse. I know people have been in and out, so I'll just keep sending the Nearpod if anybody needs it. Oh, God. They dug holes in their house, lit in the foundation, speakeasy movement, be rich and white. I wish I could pin on here. I wish I could pin plugs, moonshiners, period. Was there anybody lobbying against prohibition by alcohol companies? So, like, companies back then didn't really have the political pull that they did today in terms of lobbying, like that we know and think of today, but I'm sure there were people doing political advocacy and trying to bribe officials to not do this. But at the end of the day, it just came down to people that wanted it done, had a little more clout at the time, you know? Something with the mafia. You're right. So let's get into the illegal, shady shit. This is where things are getting interesting, so if you know anybody that left and you want to invite them back, please feel free to do so. So bootlegging in U.S. history is the illegal traffic of liquor in violation of the law, whatever. So this is why this dude's car says, I'm not a bootlegger, don't shoot, I'll stop, because they would like shoot out people's tires to stop them and see if they had alcohol. And he's saying like, you can pull me over, I'll stop, I have nothing, you can search the car, I don't give a shit, just like don't shoot my tires. The earliest bootleggers began smuggling foreign-made commercial liquor across the border from Canada and Mexico and along the sea under foreign registry. The favorite sources of supply were the Bahamas, Cuba, French islands of St. Pierre off the coast of northern Newfoundland. But yeah, basically we're sneaking it in from other countries is the vibes right now. Miami Beach actually had like the biggest bootlegging industry in the US, which is very logical if you think about where Miami is. It's like really far south, has pretty easy access to a lot of the like island countries that we were getting alcohol from because of their proximity to the Caribbean. One of the Prohibition era Miami Beach had Limousines lined up at the wharfs to welcome boats laden with bootleg liquor that came in from the Bahamas, and people drove off with their fish neatly wrapped in brown paper. At other times, the fish was shipped off in northern refrigerated railroad cars under the cover of like various different fruits and whatever. So yeah, it's like, this does make sense about Miami. Miami's quite the place. Although Dade County, that's Miami-Dade County, had voted itself dry in 1913, so they had been dry even before national prohibition. That's what I mean. Like, none of this makes any sense. The law was not enforced, and residents and visitors never wanted for a drink. That means, like, they always had a drink. They never needed one because they always had one. They never wanted for one. Even as prohibition was legislated nationally, liquor continued to flow. This is the part that gets me. On his post-inauguration visit to Miami Beach, Warren Harding had several drinks. So, like, the people in charge are drinking. Also, Taylor Arnott, first-time chat, hi. How are you? How are you living? How are you doing? How's everybody living and doing? Is that why people drink liquor bottles out of paper bags now? Oh my God, maybe. I would say it's just to hide it, but maybe this is how it started. So people would also DIY alcohol in the forest. This is like moonshining and stuff like that. So here's a pic on the right of them like in the forest. The pic on the left, these are like things they would put on their shoes that would make it look like cow footprints, because the cops would like track their footprints into the woods and then like destroy all their alcohol. So they would wear these cow shoes so that they wouldn't be able to see like the human shoe footprints, so that they could be able to keep their little liquor thing like under wraps. So that's the cow shoes. See what I mean? History is literally hilarious. Hopefully I'm not too late to history. No, not at all. We're actually getting to the best part. I bet the cops just drank it. They absolutely did. They absolutely did. No doubt about it. I totally believe the cops were just drinking it. Sorry, I keep accidentally hitting my microphone. The footprints. Thanks for the follow, Taylor. Thanks for the follow, Callie. Honey Bear Stas, thanks for the follow. Lemur Banana, Hannah. The cops still just drink it or the drugs themselves. T. No doubt they were doing it. Absolutely. Okay, so speakeasies. Speakeasies are like those secret underground bars, and I promise we're going to look at a ton of pictures in a little bit, like literally the next slide, tons of pictures. Okay, so Prohibition drove alcohol consumption underground. Millions of small towns and large cities started having these secret taverns and bars called speakeasies. We don't know the exact origins, but we can kind of put together speakeasy, like be on the low, don't fucking tell everybody about this. As law enforcement shut down countless bars and saloons across the country, speakeasies sprang up overnight. By 1925, tens of thousands had opened in New York City alone. Many were drab, makeshift saloons in basements or tenements located in shabby parts of town. Some, however, were fine restaurants in their own right, including New York's swanky 21 Club, which featured 2 bars, a dance floor, dining rooms on 2 levels, and underground passageways leading to secret wine cellars. So that's what I mean, like, rich people gonna drink. Matt, an anonymous gifter gave someone a subscription. Thank you. To whoever's giving away subscriptions, thank you. That's so nice of you. Why would you ever do that? I would literally never do that for someone else, so thank you. Just being honest. Like, thank you, but I just, wow. Okay. These pictures are interesting. These pictures are super fucking cool. They're like how people are hiding alcohol. A lot of it's women too. It's like very girl boss. I don't know if it's just they were taking pictures of the women because like men had the cameras and, you know, gross. But most of the pictures are women. Providing the name of the person who sent them like an influencer code. Oh, interesting. I got a rush of dopamine when I subscribed. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. This is like, yes, she is wearing a flash. She's actually wearing 2, I believe. This is a user testimonial. They got a rush of dopamine when they subscribed. Subscription to what? What did I miss? So I got into like the affiliate program or whatever it's called on Twitch. So now you can subscribe to me and then I like get monies, which is really nice of you. You don't have to at all. Like I am on here just because I like doing this and I miss talking about history. But if you want to, you're more than welcome to. And I think with Amazon, you get some for free. But let's look at these pictures. So 1, there are the flask. 2, another flask. That one's baby. This is like a fake bookcase. So you can see the circles back here. That's where you like put the alcohol. You get a month for free with Prime. Nice. This is where you put like the alcohol in there and you flip it and that's how you hide it basically. This is hilarious to me. This is the funniest fucking picture. In compliance with the 18th Amendment, no intoxicating liquor allowed on the premises. Iconic that all of them are surrounding it with alcohol. My mom used to sneak full-size pizza boxes into movie theaters by strapping the boxes to her back under a heavy jacket. How did the pizza not fall? Why wouldn't the pizza fall out? I guess it depends on the kind of pizza and like how you're angled. Yeah, this picture is iconic. Truly. 5, this is like a book flask thing. My students always loved this picture. They thought it was so funny. 6, this is speakeasy vibe. You would give like a code or something like that, like a secret word or a phrase, or say that you knew somebody. This is the police raiding a speakeasy. Look at their fucking jackets. They just look so funny to me. Thank you, Danny, for subscribing. Did Prohibition lead to unsafe alcohol consumption because it was unregulated? Probably. I don't think there's a ton of data on that, but no, I know a lot of people died because like they were making the alcohol in a way that was unsafe. Like they would make it too strong and then they would die. So yes, that's definitely true. I wonder how drunk the cops were during this time. What's the passcode? Slay! I wish I had a time machine just to be annoying. It's my one dream. 8, here's another pic, all the bottles in her jacket. I think women, this is just like me hypothesizing. I wonder how drunk cops are now. Everyone Google police 40%. It's an interesting statistic to look up. It's that they did a study and like 40% of them had like violence issues within their home. 100% because they weren't distilling it out with bad chemicals. Yeah, exactly. So this is just like me hypothesizing, but I think the reason a lot of women were the ones hiding it is because like a cop, especially at this time to a white woman, is not going to be like, take off your jacket and like make them get naked in public. So I think it was probably easier for women to hide that stuff than men would be my guess. I don't have any statistics to back that up. These are like, I think this is a candle holder. I don't know what this is. It looks very questionable, but people would hide liquor in like home items. 10 is crazy. This is supposed to look like wood, like they have like wood beams, but it's actually just fake and it's to store alcohol inside of it. Like this was a whole ass industry. Me when telling my students they have a question the state doesn't want me to answer. Yeah, you should not look up cops in 40%. Women were probably less suspected. That too. It's what sexism can do for you. That's always my motto. Number 11, this is someone was like doing work on their house and they found this bottle of Prohibition era whiskey, like literally in the foundation of their home. Someone brought that up earlier. Here's another speakeasy. I feel like this photo, I'm not going to lie, this photo is giving like Tumblr 2014, like the pale era. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Can someone please tell me in the chat if you know what I'm talking about with like the Tumblr pale era? Please tell me they drink it. Yes, no, you're right. Doesn't it? Doesn't it? Would you guys drink the Prohibition liquor? Yes or no in the chat? I can hear the 1975. I'm glad you guys like the pictures. Would you guys, if it was your house, so let's go back here. If this was your house, would you drink this? I want to know. I would smell it. I'm afraid of dark liquor. I wouldn't because I don't like dark liquor at all. It makes me like, ugh. The forbidden sip. I survived COVID. I can survive. Yeah, you can. I got exposed to COVID over 10 times and never got it. It's giving smoking cigarettes in the alley in London. Oh my God, it is. I went to FSU, def drink worse. Yeah, you probably did. I don't know if I trust it. I would be worried I would get sick later. I would smell it and like, I wouldn't drink it, but I would do a that. I just spilled it all over myself because it's a plastic straw, so it doesn't work as well. But I would do that. I literally just spilled margarita all over my chest and hair, so that's great. Just the age would freak me out. Yeah, that's the vibe that I'm on. I wasn't going to wash my hair tonight, but now there's literally margarita in it, and I don't think I can go to work smelling like margarita. I just got COVID from working out of middle school. I wonder how much money you could make. Like, I got to get that back. Okay, so let's get into the crazy shit with the mafia, whatever. Before that, questions, comments, jokes, favorite parts. What was your favorite pick? If you want to find a pick, this is what I like about Nearpod is you can like look up stuff. So you can look like 1920s Prohibition. Also, shout out to Nearpod. What toner do you use? I don't think I do that. Hair or face? I don't know. I don't think I do have a toner. Is my final answer. Remember Hatchet Lady? I miss her. Yeah. Someone look her up and put a pic of her. But yeah, you can see all the pictures here. And shout out to Nearpod. Like, I know I was hating on them because at first I kept hitting like the view limit. And I was like really annoyed at them over that. But I finally got in touch with somebody. Oh, I don't dye my hair. I don't use a toner. This is my natural color. I'm sorry. I get it from both sides of my family. What was I saying? Oh, I was like hating on Nearpod because I kept hitting the view limit and it was just like pissing me off, and I was mad that like people were trying to join and they couldn't join. But I finally got in touch with somebody, and they gave me a really high view limit. They're giving it to me for free. Like, they're really treating me really well. They've been super nice, super communicative. So I really do like Nearpod again. I know we kind of went through like a rocky moment in our relationship, but I don't think I do that. Relatable queen. Thank you. No alk here, and everyone with so much drinks. Prohibition. People drinking this. This is too funny. Oh my God. So I was at work. I literally misread the room so bad. So I was at work, and we were in a meeting that had like a good 20 people in it. And they were like, did everybody see what happened at the Oscars last night? I couldn't believe that he did that. And I was like, yeah, you got to keep people's wives' names out of your mouth. It's not how I would handle the situation. But at the end of the day, it happened. Because, like, was it the best thing to do? Probably not, but I get it. You know what I mean? And everyone at my work was like, we would never condone violence. And then I got this email that was like, it was to everyone. It was not just to me. It was like to everyone in the whole company about how to like basically not talk about this as a joke in marketing materials. Like, it was like, hey, if you're sending out materials, like, remember, no images that contain violence, like in marketing and all that stuff. And I was like, I absolutely would have done that. My mom's so convinced it was staged. I think it wasn't staged because of Hello Teffy's like analysis of it. I also saw people being like, oh, with all that security there, this would never happen. If you're a security guard at the Oscars and you see Will Smith walk up, you're not going to assume that that's what's going on. Like, you're not just going to tackle Will Smith as a security guard. Like, are you crazy? So that's why people are like, oh, security would have done something. Like, they probably didn't realize what was happening until it was over. Like, and even the stage managers, like, so if I was like a stage person, like a behind the scenes person, and I saw Will Smith walk up there, I would think that they planned something and I just didn't know about it. Like, it was a surprise. So that's why, like, I don't really think that makes a difference about the lack of, like, someone. I feel like if security got involved, it would have been more drama. Exactly. Like, I just think no one knew that wasn't fake when it was happening, but I think it was real personally. Pour another glass, queen. I haven't even finished this one. I'm stressed out about it. The fines the network gets for cursing are insane. They wouldn't have staged swearing. Yeah, exactly. People defending Chris give me the ick. To me, it's like, it was just an altercation between two people. Like, at the end of the day. People like, oh, defending this person. It's like, two people had an altercation because one of them talked shit about the other one's wife. He didn't like that. And, like, that's just what being a person is. Is, like, sometimes people fight and jokes that you think are fine are not fine. Like, that's just being a person. I love that you guys are putting the pics in here. How come we never went back to alcohol taxes? That's a great question. I'm going to run in 2024 on that because we could go back to that. No beer, no work. Which gets your vote? Mother of the saloon? Prohibition and nuts. Stop drinking alcohol. You know what? I'm going to start drinking harder. Did you make this? This is absolutely hilarious. I'm going to screenshot this. I was going to save it, but I don't feel like dealing with that right now. That's so fucking funny. Nice job, Sarah. 10 out of 10. Let me send the Nearpod link again in case anybody wants it. Oh, you found it on Google? Still 10 out of 10. That's so funny. Did people not start fake religions? I would have definitely started one. That's a mood. Wouldn't you just keep drinking? That meme's like a little misogynist, but it's still funny, so. Okay, so prohibition also made people lose respect for the laws and government. This is where we're going to get to crime. Now we're going to talk about the mafia, we're going to talk about crime, we're going to talk about all that stuff. So as the growth of the illegal liquor trade continued, made criminals of millions of Americans. So before this, people were like, I would never break the law. I would never disrespect daddy government like that. Like, the police are our king, and I love daddy government, and I would always respect him. But then when this Prohibition was passed, they were like, whatever, I'm just going to break the law. And it's kind of like, once you do it once, it's like, what's going to stop you from doing it again? So people just started to kind of generally disrespect the law and the police more than they had prior to this, because they were like, fuck you, I'm going to do what I want to do. Because before this, we didn't really have laws like that. Licking daddy government's boot, always. That's what everyone's always doing. As the decade progressed, courtrooms and jails overflowed, the legal system failed to keep up, many defendants waited over a year to be brought to trial, and the judicial system turned into plea bargains to clear hundreds of cases at one time, making this a commonplace. So also, like, even people getting arrested weren't even getting in that much trouble, so it was just like literally a fucking joke. So the greatest unintended consequence was the plainest to see. For over a decade, a law that was meant to foster temperance instead fostered intemperance and excess. Like that meme, like people were drinking even harder. Wonder Cats John, thanks for the subscription. Paying my bills. Today, I'm moving in July. Not moving cities, but like just moving apartments because my lease is up. And so I was looking online at apartments today and everything's so expensive. And I was like, because like I make more money at my new job, but like once my rent, I have to move and my rent's going to be more expensive. It's just going to like cancel out. So it's being a person, I guess. So the greatest unintended consequence, whatever, the solution the U.S. had devised to address the problem of alcohol abuse instead made the problem even worse. The statistics from this time period are notoriously unreliable. It's very clear that in many parts of the U.S. people were drinking more. So very, very not working, very bad vibes. So when it worked at first, now it's not working. So who is making money off of the black market alcohol? We're seeing these speakeasies. We're seeing people still drinking. We're seeing the bootlegging. So who's doing that? Who's making the money? Whenever you're looking at history, you should always follow who has the money. Like, where's the money? Follow the money. That's how you learn things. I'm dreading moving to my own place. With great freedom comes great responsibility. I love it, but it's expensive and it's hard. Hey, bestie, wake up to curls too. First time chat. Hi. But yeah, rent is a lot. Okay, so criminal gangs are making most of the money off of this. For people who didn't buy cases of alcohol in advance or know a good doctor, there were ways to drink. A new breed of gangsters arose during this period, and these gangsters were predominantly white. Normally, I know that like in 2022 culture, that's not the association of this term, but these were predominantly white-skinned. A lot of them were from other countries, but a lot of them were mostly white-skinned. So, these people took notice of the amazingly high level of demand for alcohol within a society and had extremely limited avenues of supply for the average citizen. With this imbalance of supply and demand, they saw a profit. You always got to look for gaps. If you want to make money, find something that needs to be done. And people wanted alcohol and they didn't have a place to buy it. I'm trying to buy a place this year and cry about it every day. Yeah, I want to buy a place. It's not going to be realistic for me to do it when my lease is up in July, but I think next year I might try to. I feel like I'm throwing away my money on rent, and I just want to own something and save monies, you know, because a mortgage would be a lot cheaper than my rent. You know, you have to pay for repairs and shit, but like I did the math, it works out. Didn't JFK's father make bank off bootlegging? I don't know. I should look into that. So these gangsters would hire men to smuggle the rum in from the Caribbean, like we talked about in Miami, and bring in whiskey from Canada, like that guy's car that said, "Don't shoot, stop me." That's why, because lots of people were doing this. The gangsters would open up speakeasies for people to come drink and socialize. So that's who's making money off of this. During this period, these prohibition agents, like, they are getting bribed all the time because, like, they're working for the government. They're not making a ton of money. So when these people are like, hey, I'll give you all this cash to just, like, pretend you didn't see shit, they're like, okay, sounds good. You have a gun and you're going to give me money to pretend I didn't see this? Works for me. Totally fine. Okay, so context of gangs and organized crime during this time period. The term organized crime didn't exist before this time period. Gangs, like large-scale nationwide gangs and organized crime, did not exist until Prohibition. Like, Prohibition caused this to happen. Ooh, thank you for the article, Jessica. Okay, so, where was I? Criminal gangs had run amok since the late 19th century, but they were mostly bands of street thugs doing small-time extortion and loan-sharking rackets, predominantly in immigrant neighborhoods. So, like, there were gangs, but not, like I said, the nationwide gangs was not a thing. It was a more small local thing. In fact, before 1919, where was I? It wasn't the mobsters who ran most criminal schemes in America, but the corrupt political bosses. The gangs were thugs that employed the political machine, intimidating opposition candidates and funneling votes to the boss. If you guys want me to do a lesson on that, I can. But with legitimate bars and breweries out of business, someone had to step in to fuel the substantial thirst of the Roaring 20s, and no one was better equipped than the mobsters. I'm a little bit drunk now, I'm going to be honest. I'm feeling it a little bit. I feel like you can see it in my eyes. Like, my eyelash extensions really just show that one of my eyes is like drooping. But side question, let me send the Nearpod in the chat. Do you want me to do a lesson about political bosses? I know I referenced it there. This is like not the mafia, but it's like a whole other topic and other thing. I'm going to save this. Thank you. It's like a whole other topic and a whole other thing. But if you want to learn about like the corruption, basically what the bosses would do is they would like go into really poor neighborhoods and they would give everybody jobs and be like, I'm so nice, I gave you a job. And then when it was time for the election, they were like, hey, you're going to vote for my friend Rick or else I'm going to fucking fire you. And then they would just like really corrupt the city government, like in the Northeast. It was like pretty bad vibes. I know a lot of people like who were in the Nearpod are like coming, going, whatever. But I'll give people a couple more seconds to vote. Yeah, it was a crazy time period. There's a student side. Oh, I put no twice. I love how I have one brain cell. Nearpod won't work for me, RIP, but my vote is yes, please. Okay, cool. I'll probably do it. So how did the gangs get so powerful? I delete the Nearpod because my computer's about to explode. Yeah, I kind of like, I'm more doing Nearpod just because I like it, and I know a lot of people have always commented, like, show us how you use it. So I was like, if I'm teaching and doing slides, I might as well use it. It's no extra work. So how do they get so powerful? The key to running a successful bootlegging operation was having a paramilitary organization. At first, the street gangs didn't know a thing about business, but they knew how to handle a gun and how to intimidate competition. They could protect illegal breweries and rum-running operations from rival gangs, provide security for speakeasies, and pay off nosy cops and politicians to look the other way. Oh, thank you for thinking the Nearpod is fun. I appreciate that. It wasn't long before the mobsters were raking in absurd amount of money, and the bosses and cops were the ones who were taking the orders. So basically, like, they started off just being like, hey, we'll help you out, we'll be security, but then they were like raking in so much money off of it that they started like running that shit, and then like the gangs became the powerful ones, which is crazy because like our government is like, let's protect the women and the children, and then accidentally creates the fucking mafia. Everything is the US government's fault. Pretty much everything. As the money kept pouring in, these formerly small-time street thugs had to get smart. They had to hire lawyers and accountants to launder the money, so millions of ill-gotten cash was piling up every month, and they had to start thinking about strategic partnerships with other gangs and shipping and logistics and real estate investment. So they went from just like a couple dudes with some guns protecting like a speakeasy or a brewery to like now we're starting to buy real estate. Like now we're really girl bossing or man bossing. It was predominantly men. I will say the gang and black market industry is predominantly male. Like we got to get some girl bosses up in there, I would say. That's the final glass ceiling is the mob. The yesification of the mobsters. The final glass ceiling is organized crime. Until I see a woman-led mafia, a matriarch of a mafia, that will be true equality in the context of the world we currently live in my opinion. Where was I? They had to become organized, and that gave rise to now what we call organized crime. They probably exist in the sex work industry. Oh my God, I bet you're right, but they're not dominant. Interesting. Okay, so me to the government at any given moment. I love this meme. This meme of, what's his name? Woody from Toy Story. Equality equals, we need women in organized crime. I'm also fully joking. Like, I really hope everyone knows that I'm joking and just, like, being an asshole, and that I am not in favor of organized crime. Serial killers. Oh, God. Not the serial killers. Not the serial killers. The margarita is not good. Women just know how to not get caught. Maybe that's it. Singing, writing 27. Stop, there might be a serial killer in Sarasota right now. Oh, that's not good. but there are women serial killers. I think women get away with murder more often than men. Is there going to be a climb to the top or whatever it's called? I don't remember. I meant to put it in there, but I think I might have forgotten. I'm sorry. I can make one, though. I can do that. I'll make one. I'm going to get it done. Don't worry. Okay, so rise of organized crime continues. Suddenly, gang leaders are making deals with each other, forging mutual protection pacts across state and international borders and across ethnic lines, to ensure the shipment of illegal goods poured freely into the big cities. So not only did we create the mafia as the U.S. government, we also created partnerships between gangs. So not only are there one gangs, they're working together. So these are very violent people who are used to solving problems by killing them, but eventually they sit down and say, we'll guarantee peace in your area if you guarantee peace in our area. That's called syndicated crime, the cooperation between criminal groups. In the absence of prohibition, we wouldn't have had this kind of syndicated criminality. Prohibition was the catalyst. A catalyst is something that makes something else start. So like this historian and like many others agree that like if prohibition had never have happened, these criminal gangs would not have become powerful. They would have not created partnerships. They would have not created these huge networks, which like still really shapes the world that we live in today, which is crazy. In 1920s, Charles Lucky Luciano was famous for bringing together some of New York's biggest Italian and Jewish mobsters to dominate the city's bootlegging industry. In Chicago, Johnny Tororo kept fragile peace between his Italian-run bootlegging operation in the city's south side and Irish and Polish gangs working in the north side. But it didn't last. By the time Torio's protege Al Capone, like the one you know, Al Capone took over. It was an all-out turf war, and then in the infamous St. Valentine's Day Massacre of 1929, so again, Prohibition starts 1919. It's been 10 years now. These gangs have had 10 years to grow power, to grow wealth, to grow money, to grow networks, to grow all these things. Al Capone's men dressed as police officers and gunned down several of the rival gang members. Al Capone does my shirts. What? Interesting. So here's some pictures. Obviously, when you're like doing crime, you're not going to take a picture. Like, so there's not that many pictures, and a lot of them are like really fucking blurry because it was like hard to find them. What's the mafia's deal now? I have no idea what the mafia does in modern time. Oh, it was a book? I'm not a reader. I remember watching a video about how the massacre and it's imprinted into my mind. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Have you seen McMillions? It's about when the mafia got involved in the McDonald's monopoly thing. Yeah, or the McDonald's, yeah, the lottery thingy. Yeah, that's what the mafia does a lot of stuff. I don't know. I would say I would do a Twitch stream about it, but I don't want to get unalived. So, I don't think I'm going to. Here's a pic. It's like a lineup pic. I don't really know. There's Al Capone. There's Al Capone's mugshot. He got arrested for tax evasion. That's usually how they get these people, is tax evasion, because usually, like, if you're the boss, you're not the one doing the dirty work, and, like, you know what to say and what not to say, so you're not going to get picked up for crime like that. It's tax evasion. That's how they get you. He died of syphilis. We've all been there, brother. Pick number 4, super, super blurry, but there is some gang members with all the liquor. Pick number 5, again, super blurry, but some guns. 6, again, weird. They all just look angry. They're giving not the best vibes. New band named Al Capone's Pouty Lips. He is giving Kylie Jenner lip kit. I wonder where he got his lip filler done. Me too. Like, when I go to the plastic surgeon to get a new face, I'm going to show them his lips and be like, that's what I want. Material Girl. Al Capone lip flip. Is there a connection between these gangs of the mafia and modern day gangs? Like, as Prohibition gangs exist at all? I think it'd be hard to say that for sure, but I think they definitely, and that is a great question, Apples. Thank you, Clean Bee, for pointing out that that's a great question. So, side note, before I get into answering this question, I love that I'm seeing the same people on multiple streams, and I'm like starting to learn your usernames and get to know you. That's like really having a positive impact on my life. I'm having very much a fun time with that. But is there a connection between these gangs and the gangs of today? I think there's definitely a connection just when you think about it historically and the norms of the government and the way they viewed gangs and criminalizing certain things and all of that. So there's definitely a connection. I wouldn't say like, oh, if Prohibition never happened, we would be living in like a bestie sunshine universe with no crime and no gangs. But I do think that like this wouldn't have shaken out the way it was. I think it's like impossible to say what would have happened, but I don't think we would be living in the world we live in today if it wasn't for Prohibition, especially when it comes to organized crime, because so many of these things like go back and just morph over time and different people join and all of that. So I think there's definitely still connections there. It gets worse somehow, question mark. So the demand for illegal beer, wine, and liquor was so great that mob kingpins like Al Capone were pulling in as much as $100 million a year. That is $1.4 billion in 2018 money, so even more in 2022 money. And they were spending $500,000 a month to bribe politicians, police, and federal investigators. So that's what I mean, like, in terms of how the corruption, this is like really when things started to get lit and started to get crazy. And I think the world would be a different place today if this had not happened. Better, worse, who knows, but definitely different. So making money was easy. The hard part was figuring out what to do with all the cash. Money laundering was another way that organized crime was forced to get far more organized. So money laundering, if you've seen Ozarks, you know, money laundering is basically like, if I made money in an illegal way, I can't just go bring it to the bank in cash, because they're going to be like, bitch, where the fuck did you get this? And I'm going to have to like pay taxes on it and shit. So let's say I open up a strip club and then I have my friend bring that dirty money, the money I made off selling something illegally. I have my friend bring that money to the strip club. I mix it in with the strip club money, and then I'm like, this is what I made there, and then I pay taxes on it and all of that stuff. It's a lot more complicated than that. I don't know how to do it, but that's kind of the general idea. Okay, so when gambling was legalized in Nevada in 1931, loads of Prohibition-era money was funneled into new casinos and hotels. So if you see what I mean, like, this reminds me of Narcos. I need to watch Narcos. So you see what I mean is like, even when Prohibition ended, the gangs were powerful and they just started doing other stuff. So like they would have never gotten that powerful that quickly if it wasn't for Prohibition. So underworld accountants wired money to brokerage in Switzerland who would cover the mobsters' track and reinvest cash into legitimate businesses. Others like Al Capone weren't as savvy and got sent up the river on tax evasion charges. The I don't know how to do it disclaimer got me. I really don't. I really do not. Y'all think I will be at an office 9 to 5 every day? Actually, not 9 to 5, 8:30 to 5. Y'all think I would be at an office 8:30 to 5 if I knew how to launder money? I would not. That's one thing I'll tell you. If you're the IRS, I never said that and it was a joke. I would never launder money, and I pay all my taxes and I will be submitting it on time. I promise. Daddy government, I promise I will pay my taxes. So yeah, Al Capone did get sent to prison because of tax evasion. So he did go to prison for that. Just pull a good girls and literally laundering your money. The FBI barging in. No one doxed me. When Prohibition was finally repealed in 1933, the cash grab was over, but the sophisticated black market business schemes and money laundering were here to stay. The biggest gangs shifted their operations away from alcohol and into businesses like drugs, gambling, and prostitution. So someone asked that earlier about like if that's connected. It is in this way. It's that like once alcohol became legal, they just kind of changed their business model and they're like, oh, what else is illegal that people like to do, and started going for that. So the gangs had cash and a cash-starved economy. If you wanted to set up a legitimate business, you'd have to go to organized crime. Loan sharking became a major industry, because you also have to think about 1919s when Prohibition was like created. It ended in 1933, and that's in the middle of the Great Depression. They're big in sports betting now. That makes sense, though. So like in the middle of the Great Depression, the mafia and the gangs had all these crazy amounts of money, and it's the middle of the Great Depression, so like people were going to them for things that they needed. So like it just kind of they're crypto bros now. Oh my god, they literally are. Wait, I hate that you're right. So like the gangs existed small time. Prohibition happens, they get super powerful. Then because they're super powerful, they're making tons of money and have like totally created this entire black market. Then when alcohol becomes illegal, they still have all that money and they're still already super powerful. So it's like they don't really care and they're just going to invest and do other stuff. They're selling NFTs, the mafia NFTs. This is too funny. Okay. So, here's another great meme. Do you guys know what this GIF is from? Have you guys seen this? This was like a YouTube thing when I was like in high school, and I remember it, and it was like funny and whatever, but I hadn't seen it in forever, but I just remembered this GIF and had to bring it up here. Does anyone know of any modern mafia stuff? Yeah, does anyone know of any like good documentaries about this? We'd all be down. For surezies. Sorry, I keep like snotting and sniffling. McMillions. I need to watch McMillions. What's McMillions on? I don't even know like what platform it's on. Holy shit, it's almost 10 p.m. This was a good one. I've been having fun today. Where's she working? Comments, jokes, want to share anything? Then we'll talk about the end of Prohibition. Oh, it's on HBO? Okay. I'm going to watch a Veep after this, but I'll watch it later. We're almost done. Comments, jokes, want to share anything? How are the vibes? How are we feeling? One thing I will say is I need to like, I'm very like a perfectionist person. I always want to be doing everything like the most. And I will say like, I need to be messier with these lessons. Like I think I'm creating them too much like a teacher, and I need to start creating them for more like drama and the shadiness, focusing more on that personally, rather than like as much of the boring stuff, you know? Unless you're into the boring stuff. Like, do you, like, I think I should spend less time going into, like, the context and the government and who is who and just focus on, like, the crazy shit. But then also, it's like, you can't really understand the crazy shit if you didn't talk about that. So, I don't know. Can you drop the link again to the Nearpod? Yeah. Is a good mix of serious and silly. Okay, period. Do what's fun to you. Yeah, I need to focus more on fun for myself. Being a person is so hard. Like, living consciously, I like the context. I like for history. The history people are fun, so yeah. This is studying for APUSH. This is literally studying for APUSH. This one's hilarious. U.S. government, all right, now that Prohibition is in effect, you think you won't drink, right? The American public. No, I don't think I will. You're not beholden to a school district, make it chaotic. Right? I'm obsessed with these memes. Do you guys mind if I put these on Twitter? I'm assuming you don't. I don't know if you made these, you found these, I don't really care. I love the context, please don't cut it. Okay, we should do a viewing stream. Ooh, we should do that. Prohibition starts, Catholics, wine is a part of my religion. Are you guys making these or finding these? Where do you guys find your Prohibition memes? These are all so much better than if you Google anything meme, you get like the millennial memes. How dare you prohibit alcohol? Priests and rabbis can still have something. You know, I'm something of a priest and rabbi myself. They're like, I actually am religious. Now that you mention it, I'm feeling very religious today. Love this. What do you think would happen if they brought Prohibition back? Bro. People would riot. There'd be riots in the street, like dead ass. Okay, so let's talk about the end of Prohibition. It didn't last forever because obviously we're drinking right now. The high price of bootleg liquor meant the nation's working class and poor were far more restricted during Prohibition because the rich people always do what they want. If they ban abortion, I'm joining the Satanic Temple and they have to let me. Oh, that's true. Make it chaotic after context. I feel like I learned the facts in chaos, but I never fully learned context, which is why I low-key can't stand history and school itself. In school, history itself is fine. Yeah, I feel that. Chaos and context. Okay, period. Wait, I made a meme but ran out of time. I can go back. Put your meme in. I'll go back. The Gru meme. Add the meme. And I'll share the Nearpod again. I think everybody here is on here, but in case anybody's not. Anybody wants it. I really want to DoorDash McDonald's for dinner, but I've spent so much money on takeout food this week that I cannot, and I went to the grocery store, so I need to just eat the groceries that I bought. But like, McDonald's would be so good. This is the best school ever. Thank you. I love this school. Let me see the meme. American people banned alcohol. Oh, God. Okay, so the end of Prohibition, why did it end? How did it end? Jails and prisons spiraled. The support for Prohibition was waning by the end of the 1920s. People were not really down with it anymore. In addition, fundamentalist and nativist forces had gained more control over the temperance movement, which alienated more of its moderate members. So, like, a lot of people that were like, hey, we should ban alcohol, once, like, it got really weird and super religious and super racist, and, like, the KKK was involved, they were like, yeah, I don't really care about this anymore, and I don't really want to be a part of it, so I'm not into it anymore. Like, I thought it was a good idea, but it's not the vibes. So, and then we also had the Great Depression, so it's like, no one's focused on the temperance movement right now, because we're in the middle of the fucking Great Depression. So in 1932, we're in the Great Depression, creating jobs and creating tax revenue by legalizing liquor had an undeniable appeal. So FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, he's considered like one of our most loved presidents. Considered one of our like most loved presidents. He ran a bunch of times. I'm not on Nearpod, I'm getting Arby's. Yeah, and feel free to like if Nearpod's not your vibe, like I'm not worried about it, you know? Like I upped the participant limit because I want if people to join, they can join, but I'm like I won't be offended if you don't, because like if you're watching it on your phone or like an iPad or like going somewhere, I get it. Like I wouldn't either. Stop trying to make the temperance movement happen. It's not going to happen. I would say the star students of this stream have been Honey Bear Stoss and Quarter Life Crisis. Y'all have definitely been pulling your weight in the chat. Y'all have been coming with the memes. I'm here for it. A+, gold star. I wish I could give you a sticker. So we're in the middle of the Great Depression, and FDR was like, hey, we should get rid of Prohibition because it's really fucking trash. And President Hoover was like still really into Prohibition, so everyone voted for FDR, obviously. So the amendment was submitted, and then they passed it, and Prohibition ended. So by 1966, someone mentioned that date earlier, I think it was Mississippi didn't repeal until 1966. But yeah, Prohibition nationally was ended in 1933, and then some individual states kept it, and so the last state to end it was in 1966. So it definitely lasted longer in some places than others. Here's a Brittany Broski meme. I'm a huge fan of her and her work. I know she like doesn't want to be known for Kombucha Girl anymore, but I just feel like the meme really fits, so I'm sorry. But I listen to Violating Community Guidelines religiously. I was listening to it at work today. I actually need to stop listening to it at work because every time I listen to their podcast, Sarah Shower and Brittany Broski's, every time I listen to it at work, I literally sit at my desk working. Everyone's silent. I'm at my desk and I'm like, literally just giggling to myself because it's so fucking funny and I can't hold it in. So here's the meme. Americans in the election of 1932 voting for Hoover, who's doing nothing useful. Voting for FDR because he says he will let you drink again and will do something to end the Great Depression. Brittany and Sarah have a podcast. Yes, it's called Violating Community Guidelines. Normally, I don't watch podcasts. Like, I just listen to them. But theirs, watch it on YouTube because sometimes they show pictures and stuff like that. And it's amazing. They're both so talented. Like, on the realest of reels, I really look up to them. I really admire them. I really love their style of humor. I think they're so funny. Fuck Hoover. Me and the boys all hate Herbert Hoover. Americans voting for FDR 3 times in a row just to create term limits. Yeah, FDR really said, like, y'all are obsessed with me. Relax. We need term limits because y'all are obsessed. It makes me scream laugh like Jenna Marbles. Jenna Marbles also raised me. I miss Jenna Marbles. I can't believe I forgot to put the game in here. I'm literally trash. All done. Thanks for coming. Feel free to share your Feel free to share your favorite part, something you learned, any questions, anything you want to share, whatever. I'm glad you appreciate the memes. I'm going to hang out here for a little bit longer. I need to make something for dinner in a little bit, but thank you all for coming. This is always really fun for me. I love doing these. This is like one of the best ones I've done, I think. Let me know in the chat if you're into it, if you're not into it. I was like a little bit in my feelings because like my views on the first one were way higher than any of the other ones have been. Like they haven't been going up. They've been like, and kind of like, if you're getting what I'm saying. So I was like a little bit in my feels, but I think it's just like the algorithm, you know? Like I think it's like TikTok does the same thing. Like when you first make videos, they give you a lot of views so that you get like addicted to it and you keep doing it. So it's like you rise and then you like fall and then it usually picks back up again. You know what I mean? Do you stream every Wednesday night? So normally I used to just stream on Wednesdays, but now I'm streaming in a monetary sense, like engagement is better than views. Yeah, exactly. It's also like I just got into the affiliate program, so I think I just need to learn and like relax and not be hard on myself and not be a perfectionist. Do you have a Discord No, I should make one though. Just created a Twitch account today to watch and comment. Thank you. What was I gonna say though? Thanks for being a cool person. Thanks, Smudge Beeb. And thank you, everybody who's been subscribing. I really appreciate that. Live, laugh, and loving all that. I should make a Discord. Yeah, I was talking about when I stream. So I used to just stream on Wednesdays, but now I'm streaming on Mondays and Wednesdays. But this upcoming week, it's going to be Tuesday and Wednesday. So next time I'll be streaming is on Tuesday. That'll be education horror stories. And then after that, I'll stream Tuesday, education horror stories, and then I'll stream Wednesday about a history thing. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do yet. I might do the political bosses. I might think of something else. We'll see. I might do the pandemic of 1918 compared to 2020, all of that. Have you thought about making a That's Unethical podcast? So this is my hesitation with a podcast is like, podcasts take a lot. Like you have to have really good equipment. You have to edit them. You have to do all those things. And I like this because I can just like hop on here. You know what I mean? So like, I don't want to do a podcast unless I feel like I can really do it right and do it in a way that I'm going to be like proud to put out. Like this is like me like simping for my work right now, but like I feel really proud like when I do these things. Like I feel good putting out this Nearpod and teaching in this way. Like I feel like I put my research into it. Like I feel like it's high quality, all of that. And right now I just don't have the time to do that with a podcast, and I enjoy this more because it's visual. So I would love to do a podcast. It's something that I'm definitely in favor of, but it's just not something I'm really doing right now purely because of time. Hopefully one day in the future, like in the next couple of years, my work situation will be different. Like right now I'm still settling into my job. So maybe if I either change roles or change a schedule or, life's a long thing, but I would love to do a podcast. Not gonna lie, I think you thrive with live, the comments, so you wouldn't have on a podcast. Yeah, like I think I'm just too scatterbrained and like ADHD to really thrive in a podcast environment. So like I want to do it, but I think I'm enjoying this more and I think I'm much better at this. So that's why I want to like kind of keep doing this. I cannot believe I've been on here for 2 hours and 20 minutes. That's one thing that I know, like I like doing this because it goes by so fast. Like I feel like I've only been on here 15, 20 minutes, but it's been 2 hours and 20 minutes, been like 2.5 hours. Let me look at this. My fave part was our parasocial relationship. The memes were top tier. Thank you. I'm going to try and include more memes. Oh my God, I love this one. How about I do it anyway? What if I just did it anyway? What about that? I can tell you're feeling more comfortable managing the chat and doing your thing. Thank you. Not doing TikTok helped a lot. That was actually my boyfriend's suggestion. He was like, you kind of seem overwhelmed. He was like, you're doing TikTok at the same time. There's 2 chats. And he was like, it's just a lot happening. And I was like, let me try and do it without it. And it's so much more enjoyable. It's just like less overwhelming. Last time I was kind of going live like periodically on TikTok, but this time I didn't. And honestly, I liked that too. But yeah. Does your boyfriend watch the streams? Yeah. Sometimes. I don't know if he's here right now. Are you here? Hello? He watches them though, like in and out. I don't think he sits down and is like, but he does watch them. He's a subscriber. Ovs. Has to be. It'd be like embarrassing if he wasn't. I'm going to end this though because I need to eat something. It's 10 p.m. I need to eat something. I need to take a shower. But this was super fun. Loved our parasocial relationships. Loved the memes. Have a great night. I'll see you on Tuesday for education horror stories and then on Wednesday for whatever we end up doing on Wednesday. Thanks. So fun. Have a great night. Peace and love. Bye-bye.